What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
All right. What is it? Friday night? Friday night? It's Friday night. That means it's the Friday night Radio Baloney Live. I am your host, Richie Baloney. So I see a question on locals. We got Miles is saying, why will it be starting so late tonight? This is the normal time for Friday night. So 7:30 Pacific time, Friday night, 6 o'clock Pacific, Sundays and Tuesdays. So this is in fact the right time. I think I'm just checking the clock. Yes, I haven't lost my mind. This is the right time. All right. So we got Izzy, we got Mickey, we got Spambot, we got Miles, we got Rosie all in the chat already. Good to see you guys. All right, but you know what? I think we have a problem with this happens occasionally. We got a problem with the chat showing up on the screen, and it's not. The chat is not coming through studio, which means it's not going to be on the screen. So I will just not display because otherwise it will be just one comment that's stuck there. This happens occasionally. With this. There's some bugs with Rumble Studio. It's fine. By the way, we're streaming right now on Rumble, YouTube, X, and Locals, but I'm doing it through Rumble Studio. And sometimes there's some glitches. Unfortunately, it's a very good service, but occasionally there are some glitches. So tonight is one of those things. Sometimes the chat will start up and come through, and then I can display it on the screen. But until that happens, I guess we can't. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? All right, everybody, what are you guys saying? Who got the first? Who got the first like? Izzy got the first like. Good for you. That's double good karma for Izzy. Double good karma. So, as everybody knows, when you like the stream, when you subscribe to the channel, or you like the stream, you get free good karma for me. I built up a reservoir of good karma while I'm preparing the stream, during the stream, but if I kept it all, that would be bad karma. So I give it to you, just simply for either subscribing to the channel or liking the stream. And first like on any of them, on YouTube, Rumble, X, or Locals, that's double good karma. Double good karma. In these troubled times, can you turn your back on that? I wouldn't. Mickey got number 2. I feel bad because you're so close. Number 2. I'll tell you what, you get 1.5 good karma. Not double because that's first, but that's still pretty good. Alrighty. Spambot says, let's go. All right, let's do it then. Where are we going? Let's see. Spambot says, both Rosie and I have flooded Richie with lots of suggestions. Yes, I did take a look and I pulled some out. Don't you worry about that. They'll be coming up. Rosemary says, golly gee whiz boomers, you guys are fast on the karma draw. Yes, the good ones are. The best ones are. Let's see. Spambot says, seems late for me. No, it's the normal time. It's the normal time. Let's see what else we got going on. Reader Streamer says, hello, my fellow degenerates, basket of deplorables, non-neon hair dye, orange Hitler following, Hitler vaccine as the commie hating countrymen and women. Hello, streamer. All right. So let's go through actually, before we go through the menu of everything we're going to talk about, probably no stream on Sunday because we got the election stream on Monday, and I'm expecting that to go late. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be very exciting, but we could be doing like 6-7 hours on that night. And I got a lot of stuff to prepare. I'm going away on Wednesday on a road trip. So probably no stream on Tuesday night. It'll probably just be tonight, Monday, and then I'm just taking a week off. I'm going to drive really far, and I'll take all my stuff, so I'll have my mobile studio with me. So if I might, if something big breaks, or if I'll start losing my mind because I'm so addicted to doing this, maybe, but I'm not planning on it, but I might. But maybe Sunday, it just depends. Like if something big breaks, I might jump on for an hour, but if not, Yeah, it'll just be the Monday night stream, and it'll probably be a real long one. I don't expect an early night. So there's that. All right, let's go to the menu. Let's see what we're talking about. Mark Carney is just a totally degenerate, inveterate liar. He never stops lying. People are, the word in like liberal media is that Pierre Poilievre blew some big lead, 15-point, 20-point lead or something like that. No, he didn't. What happened was Trudeau was hated. He left. They brought in this guy. They parachuted this guy in, and they spun a big story about his competency and what a good man he is, and he's moderate. It was all bullshit. All bullshit. Then they talk about the Trump thing. Trump had nothing to do with it, right? Pierre could never have won that battle of who could hate Trump the most, because the media put Mark Carney in a throne, they put a crown on his head and a sword in his hand, and they designated him Trump fighter. As idiotic as that was. And I think the whole thing has been very misleading, by the way, as well, but we'll get into it. We'll get into that. I'm just going through the menu right now. So Mark Carney's lying. He was lying about, he had that phone call March 28th with Trump, and he said, he treated me with respect and didn't bring up 51st State. It turns out that he did. And Mark Carney was lying to try and make himself look more competent and leaderly. Just the latest. He's even more of a liar than Trudeau, it turns out. All right, so we're going to go through Carney. There's just a ton of stuff. You guys know what the deal is. It's, we got tonight, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then it's the election. So we'll be going heavy on that stuff. There's just tons of Mark Carney being an awful person who should never run this country. And we're going to go through all of it. We've got Pierre Poilievre. He's working very hard. I have a feeling that his internal polling and Carney's internal polling is telling us something different from what the mainstream polling is telling us. I think it's a Kamala Carney thing happening here. Do you remember in the Kamala Trump election, the aggregates had Kamala up the entire time, sometimes by very, very wide margins. We found out after the election that Kamala Harris's own campaign, their internal polling had her down the entire time. So we'll get into more of that and why I think the polls might be wrong enough for us to win. The Conservatives to win, for Pierre Poilievre to win. Lots of election stuff. We've got crazy Canada stuff, which you'll enjoy. All good reasons for us to not elect in insane far left progressives again. WEF. So we're going to hear from Blood Eye. It looks like his eye isn't bloody all the time, or maybe he did something there or put in a contact or something so his eye isn't as bloody there. But he's explaining that he doesn't really want to extort the world through drinking water, access to drinking water to do all of his evil world economic plans. I don't believe him, but we'll take a look. Woke mind virus stuff, crazy people, woke mind virus, the score. Let's take a look. WPATH, more stuff on WPATH stands for, World Professional Association of Transgender Health, which is a totally pseudo-scientific organization, yet it is the authority to which all the other authorities point to kind of to wipe off their complicity, right? So we will take a look at, there's more information about that, and we'll get into it. All right, memes. We got memes. Lots of memes. Hold on. We've got memes. We'll go through the memes. Everybody loves the memes. We're going to have a good time with those. We have got the last tab. We don't actually have as much as we would normally have on a Friday night, but we've got lots. This will go on for a while. I've grabbed a bunch of stuff from that have been sent to me on X from you guys. So that's all good stuff. Lots of fun stuff. We like to end it off with stuff like this, where it's a little bit of politics in there, but some funny stuff. Animals. We like animals quite a bit, except for polar bears. We don't like them. And dogs we do like, though. And crazy stuff, ladies that cut their tongues in half and do that now, which is pretty weird. All right. And of course, we have cooking shows. And I'm also going to take you through something, through the election simulator here from 338 Canada. And I'm going to show you how little change in this is needed for the Conservatives to actually win. And you might be surprised. Certainly if the polls are off by just a couple of points, Conservatives, it looks like they have a very good chance of winning. So anyway, let's go to the cooking show. How about noodles? Yeah, let's do noodles. All right. Miles is saying it only feels late because my day started at 3 a.m. Ugh. Mountain time. Ugh. Not good. Not fun. All right. So what are you guys saying in the chat? Then we're going to get to it. And I better have some ranch juice. Let's see. Spambot, I know you're Miles. Spambot, I know that. You think I didn't know that? I knew that. Let's see. The sandwich does look good, Izzy. Looks very good. Let's see. Rosie says, radio streamer, Commie Hate, hello. Commie Hate is really popular on this show. Extremely popular. Spambot says, when I lived in Calgary, we family drove to Florida for a trip from Calgary. That's a long drive to Nova Scotia and another to Fairbanks, Alaska too. Wow, those are long trips. I'm not going that far. Let's see. It's like a day thing. All right. So let's get to it, people. What do you guys think? Let's do this thing. All right. So we're going to get to Mark Carney's lies here. Let's start out talking about Mark Carney's lies. Where do we want to start? All right. Hold on one second. Am I organized? I am not organized. All right. So Mark Carney, and let's find his original statement here, okay? Where is that? In fact, I think it is. Oh, we're in the wrong one. That's why. Okay. Hold on one second. So let's go to Pierre Poilievre here first. So Mark Carney lied about his call with Trump in a desperate attempt to distract from the lost liberal decade of rising costs and crime and to trick Canadians into giving liberals a fourth term. Carney's entire campaign is built on lies. Yes, we're going to get into that. If he lies about this, he would lie about inflation, taxes, crime, and everything else. So what is he talking about here? Which one of lies? Which one of Mark Carney's lies is he talking about? So let's see. Hold on. Got it here somewhere. Why am I never better organized? Hold on. It's down here somewhere. God damn it. God damn it. All right. All right. I want to find what he originally said. Okay. Hold on. Where is it? I know that I have it. Okay. Is it in here? Give me a second, guys. I just want to start out with Carney's original statement so you guys can actually see it. God damn it. All right, hold on. This is amusing. See, that's like a Chinese That's like the Chinese flag there. He's Captain China there. It's a good one. AI, that's what AI was made for. Let's see. All right, so I can't find it, so let's just start out. Let's just start out with okay. The hell's going on here? All right, give me 1 second. I'm totally screwing up this stream. Is anybody still there? Is anybody still watching? All right. Sorry, you guys. It just happens sometimes. All right. So from David Jacobs, please enjoy 33 seconds of Mark Carney squirming as he's caught in a huge lie about his conversation with President Trump. So March 28th. Oh, it's in this. Okay, very well. Okay, so on March 28th, Mark Carney had a call with Trump. And he said the call went very well, and Trump was very respectful and didn't call him governor of Canada or mention the 51st state or anything like that. And it turns out that Trump actually did mention the 51st state thing. And Mark Carney was lying because he thought it would make him look prime ministerial. And then I guess like he'd stared down Trump, and Trump was forced to treat him with respect because of his imperious presence. Turns out he was lying about that. And we'll get into like all of his lies in this. But first, let's take a look here.
Yes or no, did Mr. Trump bring up the 51st state in his call with you?
I said that he did. I said that he did. But the president, to be clear, the president respected Canada's sovereignty today, both in his private and public comments.
That's what he said then. That's what he said then. But he was lying because he's Mark Carney. And Mark Carney is a liar, an inveterate liar. He never stops lying. Let's find okay, hold on. Let's find his. And now my mouse is not working properly. So that's awesome. Okay. Hold on a sec. Hold on. I want to get his full statement on that. Where the hell is it? All right, here we go. So from Brian Lilly, Carney clearly doesn't like to be questioned at all. Watch as he is dismissive at two different journalists after they raise valid criticism from a major Canadian academic. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. God damn it. God damn it. Keep watching. I'm going to get this right. And there was the clip. Okay. Okay, so let's watch this one now. Here we go. So here he's being asked about the call again. Let's take a look.
Hi, Mr. Carney, Mackenzie Gray with Global News. I think you've ducked Ashley and Laurence's question, so I just give you one opportunity again. Yes or no, did Mr. Trump bring up the 51st state in his call with you?
I said that he did. I said that he did. But the president, to be clear, il a soulevé. C'est correct? Mais il a.
You might be wondering why I think he's in Alberta. No, he's in British Columbia there. You might be wondering why he just switches to French in a place that's all English. I think that's basically because he doesn't want it clipped in English. He wants it hidden from English speakers, those that aren't bilingual.
Il a soulevé beaucoup d'enjeux. Mais la discussion au sein, c'est une discussion de pays souverains. Sorry, Mackenzie, I should be answering you in English.
Yeah, he should. There's no reason to speak French there. It makes no sense. Why is he just giving himself time to think so he can come up with something in English, which isn't terrible? Probably, I guess. I mean, it's inexplicable otherwise.
Him raising something and then where the discussion is, he has these things in his mind. This is not news. He raises it all the time. Okay? But then the question is, what's going to be done with it? And does he understand where we stand, but more particularly where I stand? He is under no illusions. Never. Absolutely not. Never. Move on. It's two sovereign nations coming together negotiating our partnership, our relationship. And the question is, will there be a deal that's acceptable to Canada? There's a lot that will never be on the table in those negotiations, and I've been absolutely clear about that.
Yeah, but why did you lie? That's the question. Why did you lie? Why did reporters have to keep repeatedly asking you the question? Right? Why did you say one thing that wasn't true? Why did you say something that wasn't true? We know why he did. He thought it would benefit him politically. He has no problem with lying. He lies constantly. Let's go here. All right. And you know what? There's some fluff stuck in my mouse. That's why it's not working. You have to give me a second. All right. This is disastrous so far, but we'll get on track. Don't worry. We'll get on track. I don't know how shit got into my goddamn mouse wheel. All right. I think that we're good now. Hold on. Nope. There's still something wrong. Hold on. All right. Hold on, people. All right. I'll have to work with it. Let's see. Let's see. Carney. All right, hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. So from Mark Tauhi here, Carney's lie matters. He said he wouldn't talk to Trump unless the president showed respect for Canada. After they talked, Carney said Trump had been respectful. He claimed it as a big win. He stood up. Trump backed down. Now he admits he did no such thing because he's a total liar. It does matter. It does. Yeah. So, and this has now been confirmed, right? He did lie about it. It was leaked. Maybe he leaked it himself because he wanted to, because the polls have been tightening. He wanted to, he wanted to bring Trump back up as much as possible. He thinks that's the key to him winning. All right. So let's talk about Mark Carney's lies, but all of his lies, because he's constantly lying is the problem. So no Chartier here. Here is Mark Carney. So posted by no Chartier. Here's Mark Carney lying about Pierre Poilievre, because of course he is.
Vous venez d'accuser M. Poilievre de vouloir utiliser la clause non-obstant pour s'attaquer au droit à l'avortement, mais M. Poilievre va explicitement...
C'est une accusation. Il ignorait.
Okay, we don't have it in English. We'll move on to the next one. What the hell is going on? Let's see. So Mark Carney is saying that Pierre Poilievre is going to use the notwithstanding clause to ban abortion in Canada. He is not going to. Canada does have insane abortion laws. Like, there is no restrictions whatsoever. You right up until the moment of birth, it's legal, which is one of the only, or maybe the only country in the world where there's just no restrictions. I know in Europe, it's generally 12 weeks. France, Germany, they're all like around 12 weeks. Canada, no. And it's been like that since the 70s, which is, that's radical. That's radical left. Let's take a look.
I can guarantee you there will be no laws restricting abortion passed when I'm Prime Minister.
Vous venez d'accuser M. Poilievre de vouloir utiliser la clause non-obstant pour s'attaquer au droit à l'avortement, mais M. Poilievre a explicitement dit qu'il ne le ferait pas. Donc, pourquoi cette accusation?
Oui, c'est une accusation, mais ce n'est pas une accusation, c'est un fait. C'est un fait. Il veut ignorer la Constitution de notre pays.
said it's a fact. It's a fact. It's not a fact. He's lying. He also says it in English too. I don't know why I have only French clips of him for some reason. Here's another one from Juno News. Mark Carney falsely claims Pierre Poilievre called Canada stupid. Well, spoiler alert, he didn't say that. He said that the government was stupid. Let's take a look.
You have to distinguish between what you can change and what you can't. What you can change and what you can't. And after 78 years, I don't think we can change President Trump. So what we need is a leader and a party that can stand up to him.
What does that even mean? Why are those trained SEALs clapping? What does that mean, stand up to him? This is obviously always going. The United States is the largest economy in the world. This is always going to be our largest trading partner. We have to work something out. That's what makes sense. Standing up, we have no leverage, right? Like, this is all idiotic. This is all this is the elbows up. This is the Team Canada coming from the people who 5 minutes earlier were telling us that Canada's an eternal, infinite genocide state and everybody's racist, right? 5 minutes earlier, all of a sudden, elbows up, we're all Team Canada. Yeah, I'm not on their Team Canada. So what does that mean, right? What is this lowest common denominator stuff mean? This mindless, idiotic, reckless rhetoric mean? Nothing.
That leader is not Pierre Poilievre. No. He draws his inspiration from President Trump. He copies his ideas. So
this coming from the guy who copied Pierre Poilievre's ideas, like removing trade barriers within Canada, like Xing the tax. Pierre was running on that for like 2 years. X the consumer carbon tax, right? He stole both of those things, among others. Now, of course, he's adding carbon taxes, right, on the back end, which everybody will have to pay for. But so if you're stealing Pierre Poilievre's policies and Poilievre was stealing Trump's policies, even though, like, the United States has never had a carbon tax and they don't have the trade issues that Canada, like, this is all lowest common denominator stuff for trained SEALs, for people whose brains are plugged into CBC and will just do what TV says. Whatever's on teleprompter, they will do that.
Poilievre's first instinct when our nation was attacked was to call Canada stupid.
He called you stupid. You stupid. And he knows that. This is an outrageous lie. This is a grotesque, cynical lie. This actually betrays his contempt for the people that support him. That they will just buy this up. They will just drink this piss. He's just pissing on them and saying it's right. Like, this betrays his contempt for the Canadian people and his own supporters. Telling such a grotesque, ridiculous, idiotic, childish lie. It's a lie for children.
Call us in. It was our fault.
Listen to the woo woo. These people know literally nothing. They have been paying no attention. They know nothing about Pierre Poilievre. They know nothing about their own country. Otherwise, they wouldn't be supporting this jackass.
Pierre Poilievre even chooses to be willfully blind to the growing threats facing Canada by refusing, for some reason, to get his security clearance.
When you even got the former leader of the NDP explaining over and over again on TV that he would not sign the agreement. He would not sign the security agreement either because it would muzzle him. It's a trap it was a trap designed by the Trudeau government. The whole NSICOP thing was designed by the Trudeau government to hide their corruption. Because once you agree to sign the security thing, once you agree, you can't talk about it anymore. It's a muzzle. That's all that it is. He knows that. He assumes that his supporters are stupid and ignorant, and sadly, he's right. Let's move on. Brian Lilly, I've never seen a politician lie as much or as blatantly as Mark Carney in my 25 years of covering politics. Yesterday, when called out on saying something that wasn't true about Pierre Poilievre, he doubled down and called it a fact. Doubled out. So that is the abortion claim. Let's see. Mark Carney, serial liar exposed from Larry Brock. Sneaky Carney will say anything to win. He lied about moving Brookfield's headquarters to the U.S. His own letter proves he led the charge. That is just simply a fact. He lied about his role in the 2008 financial crisis, trying to rewrite history to cover his tracks. Yes, he did. That was Jim Flaherty and Stephen Harper. He did what he was told. He's also lied about his record in as chairman of the Bank of England, by the way, as well. He did a terrible job there. He printed too much money, which is what somebody like him would do. That's what he's telling us he's going to do in Canada, way more than even Trudeau was planning on. So his record is, they like to tout his record, his resume, but just don't look too close. Just kind of take a very low resolution look at his resume. Don't look too close. Don't look too close. Impressive, right? That central banker, Canada, the UK, but don't look too close. Don't look at what he actually did. He lied on pipelines, saying one thing in English and another in French. That's right. So in English, yes, he's all for pipelines. In French, absolutely no pipelines. As well as the fact that he's not going to get rid of Bill C-69, so it doesn't matter. As long as that's there, there's not going to be any pipelines or mines or any resource development whatsoever. Sneaky Mark Carney caught lying red-handed. He is a liar. That's the thing about him. He has lied on just about obvious things. Obvious things. From Brian Lilly again. If Mark Carney tells you the time of day, check your watch. That's how often and easily this man lies. He lies about his business, his accomplishment, his opponents, even what song he warmed up to while playing hockey. A man like that can't be trusted. Oh, the biggest lie is that I have just started. That's it. Let's take a look at that during the debate.
Tax cuts the way that Mr. Poilievre is going to do.
You always want to increase them. You're a liberal. We want to cut taxes.
Started as prime minister
For a fourth liberal term.
Yeah, he just started as prime minister. He's not new. He's not an outsider. He's been advising Justin Trudeau since 2020. Hey, there were lots of articles, newspaper articles at that time, lauding the fact that Mark Carney was coming on. The great economic genius Mark Carney was coming on to advise Trudeau. Everything will be great now. 5 years ago, didn't turn out so great. Strangely, though, the CBC just isn't really that interested in talking about it for some reason. Maybe it's that $150 million extra dollars in funding Mark Carney promised them. How is that even legal? That's just blatant bribery. From Andrew Scheer, this is going back to March 3rd. Mark Carney is a liar. Carney lied once, saying he had no rule in moving his former company's headquarters out of Canada to the United States. Yes, he did. Carney chaired the board meeting when the decision was made and personally wrote shareholders advocating for the move. Carney says he helped Paul Martin balance the budget. Carney was not working for the Department of Finance when Paul Martin first balanced the budget. In fact, Carney wasn't even in Canada at the time. He was moving from London to New York City. Lie. Carney lie 3. Carney says he resigned all his roles to run for Liberal leader. Truth, multiple boards and organizations have said Carney remains in the roles according to 5 organizations Carney is connected with. Carney is a repeat and habitual liar. You can't trust Carney. He's sneaky. He sure is sneaky. And the weird thing is, and you'll notice this with, habitual liars, with people who lie about everything, that they lie about literally everything, right? Like stuff they don't need to lie about. Like lying about leaving all of the boards he was involved in, right? Like when he hadn't, like he didn't have to lie about it. I looked into it. Like the organizations weren't like, scary organizations or anything. There's nothing too weird. He could have just said, yeah, I'm in the process of that. He didn't have to lie, but he did. Like, there's some people that just, they lie so much that they will just lie about trivial things for no reason. Like Carney says he helped Paul Martin balance budget. That was so easy to debunk. Like, why lie about it? But I think there are certain people who lie so easily. They're so addicted to lying that they're just compelled to all the time, just over nothing. And then they seem to have absolutely no embarrassment over it afterwards, which is very strange and very kind of sociopathic. Well, this is a good one. Mark Carney claimed trade between the UK and France was contingent on countries having a price on pollution. That is a complete lie. What it is, though, is his dream of what will eventually happen if he and the rest of the climate cartel get their way. He is dangerous. So Mark Carney talks in globalist code. So when he talks about making Canadian companies more competitive, he doesn't mean what you think that he means, but a sane person would think he means. He's not going to cut taxes for them. He's not going to cut red tape and, pointless regulations and, create a more efficient, a more vibrant environment for them to thrive in. No. That's what a sane person would think, right? That's what a sane person would be doing. No, he's talking, when he says more competitive, he's talking about adding carbon taxes to them, adding new regulations to them, making them spend billions of dollars refitting their operations, because that will make the UK and the EU more likely, more desirous to do business with. This is just false. The United States is shipping out tons and tons and tons, ever more LNG to Europe, and they're ramping it up, and they want more. Guess what? No carbon pricing, no carbon taxes. It's all just a lie. I think what's really going on is that the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, which you might as well just call the Globalist Financial Alliance for Net Zero, because that's really what it is. That was Mark Carney's crowning achievement, bringing on like hundreds of banks around the world to essentially try to defund anything energy related, which is fairly insane. Like, real energy related. I'm not talking about like windmills. They want to invest in windmills, right? That sort of thing. But this thing had completely collapsed. I mean, even the Canadian banks had dropped out of it before Carney decided to run for prime minister. What it's really about is trying to resurrect that. It's his reputation. He was humiliated on the world stage in front of his globalist friends. And I think that's why he wants to be prime minister of Canada. That's why he wanted to be prime minister of Canada. And he wants a mandate to use Canada as his little sandbox for his, net zero utopian globalist fantasies. His experiment. He wants to use Canada as part of his experiment for his reputation, and he doesn't care what it does to Canadians. Seems fairly obvious to me. All right. God damn it, my mouse isn't working properly. Give me one more second here. Hold on. I'm going to put this back on for a second, the noodle show, and I'm going to see if I can just get that fluff out of the mouse wheel, because it's going to drive me insane over the course of the stream. Yeah, maybe that's a little better. Alrighty. Let's get back to okay, give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure that there's that. All right, I think we're all good. All right. Okay, I've got to switch this one back. There we go. Okay. All right. So here we go. All right, let's move on to the next one. I think I've got some more lies in here too. Here's something interesting. From Table Salt. Carney, who lied about moving his company to the USA, states that his advisors don't want him talking about ethics and transparency. So he's stating that his advisors don't want him talking about ethics and transparency. I wonder why that would be. And he says that while these commitments are not in his platform, they are in his head. I think there's a lot in his head that he's not telling Canadians. They're in his book, and they're like all over. I mean, they're all over like dozens of clips of him speaking on the internet about things he doesn't really want to talk about now. But let's take a look.
Next question.
Good morning, Bill Curry from the Globe and Mail. On the issue of ethics and transparency, Canada's ethics laws have been widely criticized as inadequate, particularly as a check on the Prime Minister's office and his powers. On access to information, the system is bogged down, excessive redactions. It's viewed as not working. Yet your platform is essentially silent on those two issues. So what commitments are you prepared to make to improve Canada's ethics regime and access to information system?
I think, Bill, you ask an important question. Yes, it's not in the platform. It's in my head. And so I will now, against the advice of my advisors, let it out of my head, which is, I do think looking at access to information is quite important. The speed with which the information is provided, and as you say, the redaction.
All right, we don't need to, everything he says here is lies afterwards. I'm just going to translate it for you. So basically what he's saying is that he's totally corrupt, and obviously he's not going to do anything about corruption. He's going to try and obscure his own corruption as much as he can, the same way that Trudeau did. I mean, look, the Chinese Communist Party has been interfering in Canadian elections since at least the 2019 election. All right, the Chinese Communist Party, right? They're whatever branch of that tries to ruin the West, interfered in the Liberal leadership race to Mark Carney's advantage. The Communist Party of China has been interfering in this election to Mark Carney's advantage. They want Mark Carney, right? So it benefits him. The corruption, the interference benefits him. He constantly lies. He doesn't want us to know what's in that blind trust. He knows exactly what's in the blind trust. Of course he does, right? But he doesn't want the public to know because he's so deeply tied in, of course, with the companies that he's going to be throwing away Canadians' money on for the windmills and the cricket farms and all of that he's promising. So it can be translated as, I'm going to do nothing about that. In fact, I'm going to make it more opaque because I'm deeply corrupt. But thank you for your help in this election. All right. This is hilarious. All right. Carney just said his industrial carbon tax will help Canada's steel industry. This is what I'm talking about when he talks in globalist code. This is what I'm talking about when I say that he talks in globalist code. So this is from Chris Sims here. Remember when Trudeau said his carbon tax was making you richer? The Pipeworkers Trade Union warns Carney's carbon tax will decimate Canada's steel industry. Well, of course it will. Of course it will. But let's hear Mark Carney here.
Trade war with the United States and the industrial carbon tax in place. I'm wondering if in your plans to support Canadian industries, you would consider exempting companies from the industrial carbon tax, particularly like ones like Algoma Steel, which are actively working towards having greener technologies in place in the near future.
So what's happening is that there's a couple things here. One is that there's a value to that industrial carbon tax in the predictability of that tax and the certainty around. It encourages the types of investments that help companies such as Algoma leapfrog their competitors, and leapfrog in many cases, they're American competitors, but international.
That's just a lie. No carbon prices, no carbon taxes in the U.S. At the EU, the one he keeps talking about, he wants to get closer to the EU, and no carbon taxes. Right? The EU is taking U.S. energy. The U.S. doesn't have carbon taxes. They're taking more. They're planning to take more. They're going to take whatever energy they can get because they don't have enough of their own. Right? This is just a lie. This is just globalist speak. It's just a fantasy world that he's constructed. This has no bearing on reality. You don't need to be an economist to know, right, that if you make it more expensive for a factory to make a product, right, the product is going to cost more for the end user, for the buyer. It's going to cost more for, if you want to export it, it's going to cost more for the importing country, right? This is just basic. This is basic. You don't need to go to Oxford and get a degree in economics to see why this is going to fail. This is all relying on this fantasy green world that he's building in his head. Again, he's trying to resurrect his Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, banking globalist alliance. It's not going to work because it doesn't work. Because guess what? In the real world, you can't leave the energy in the ground, as Mark Carney once has said multiple times that he wants to, right? You need that. You need cheap, reliable, plentiful energy for a modern industrial society. Windmills and solar panels won't do it. This is why Germany reopened coal mines and coal plants that they had shut down, because they need that energy. And you can't function as a modern technological society, a modern industrial country, without it. That's just reality. It's amazing how many people are stupid enough to buy this, though. I mean, you don't have to think that hard about it, but so many people are just willing to go, well, he's an expert. He's an expert. Well, he went to Oxford, central banker. I mean, it's just clear on its face that this is all insanity. It simply won't work. It's just going to impoverish the country. This is the same plan that Trudeau had under Mark Carney's advisement. Let's be honest here. Let's just be brutally frank here. The last 5 years, the economy has been run by Mark Carney through Justin Trudeau. The only difference with Carney's platform is that it's worse than Trudeau's. It's more extreme. It's taking what Trudeau was doing, which was borrowing huge sums of money, sending it all over the world for weird woke causes and fighting in disinformation in Bangladesh for some reason, but also investing in unprofitable green industry. And he might as well have taken all of that money that he borrowed, in which we're now paying more. We're now paying more to service the interest on the national debt than is sent out in transfer payments for healthcare to the provinces. He might as well have just taken all that money out to a field and burnt it, because we got exactly nothing for it. Mark Carney wants to do that, but supercharged. He's not willing to give up on his utopian fantasy yet. And he's very, very happy to impoverish Canada chasing his goals. I guess trying to redeem himself after his G-fans collapsed. Here we go. He's talking about carbon taxes again. He says that it won't affect consumers. He said that it won't affect consumers. Making it more expensive to produce something doesn't make it more expensive to buy. Very weird coming from apparently this brilliant economist, but let's hear what he has to say.
We have three aspects of our climate plan that are relevant here. One is there is an industrial carbon price, but the question is what happens with the proceeds from that carbon price, and to what extent is it reinvested in the industry? And we're literally about to see the reality of that as the electric car line comes on, and the 70% reduction in carbon that comes from that through SIF investments, partnerships, Canada Infrastructure partnerships with the province of Ontario, and of course the drive of the workers and innovation here at Algoma. So that's an example. That's one example. The second example, which is something we've also committed to, Alex, which is as our businesses, as our big industry decarbonize, we don't want foreign steel coming here that's high carbon, right? From Asia, from America. So we will have a carbon border adjustment mechanism that prevents that from happening.
So a tariff on products that come from countries that don't conform to Mark Carney's climate regulations and zealotry. So I thought tariffs were evil, by the way. I thought that was evil, putting tariffs on countries. Apparently not when he does it for some reason. It really just functions as a tax on Canadians, a pointless, stupid one. Nobody's going to change their industry for Canada. This is just silly. He keeps talking about this fantasy world where Canada is going to lead some global alliance, a trade alliance against the United States. I mean, these are fantasies. Canada is not respected around the world anymore. And even when it was, we still weren't a big enough deal that, like, France was going to say, yeah, you take the lead, Canada. Or Germany was going to say, yeah, you take the lead, Canada. I mean, it's delusional. It's a fantasy world this man's creating. This man is actually dangerous. This man will wreck this country. Right? I've said before that when you've got, when the new generation can't afford to buy like a nice little house to start their family in, it's just out of reach. And that happened in 10 years. Can you even call yourself a first world country at that point? When people have to live with their parents into their 30s because a one-bedroom apartment costs $2,500? Can you even call yourself a first world country at that point? I'll tell you what, 4 years of this guy with the debt, the money printing, the inflation, I think we might. I think at that point you could say, yeah, this is not going to be a country where people want to live anymore. There's not going to be a first world country anymore. Things are going to start falling apart really fast. History goes slow, 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 and then really fast. And look at these people behind him. Are these factory workers? Because they don't really look like their red coats here are all very clean, spotless. Their helmets. It looks like he just grabbed a bunch of liberal staffers or something, or volunteers, and threw hard hats on them and safety goggles and these things and said, stand behind. Maybe they had to do that because it was quite embarrassing when he was doing it in the past, and they would refuse to shake his hand, and they'd be standing there rolling their eyes because they didn't want to be there. They were being forced to. How surprised would you be if all these shiny hard hats were just brought in specially for this occasion? All these nice new clean jackets were brought in for their just for this photo op. I mean, it would be as fake as everything else about Carney and his campaign, so it would make sense, right? Let's see. Jared Yager says, I asked Carney why people in the Lower Mainland should trust the Liberals to solve the drug crisis, citing the fact that under their candidate, Gregor Robertson leadership, Gregor Robertson was the mayor of Vancouver. Overdoses in Vancouver rose by 600%. Here's what he had to say. Yes, there is. I mean, let's just take a look here.
Jared Yeager with the Western Standard. Just following up on the drug crisis. So Gregor Robertson, your candidate for Vancouver Fraserview South Burnaby, he was one of the leading advocates for drug decriminalization, and while he was mayor of Vancouver, overdoses increased by 600%. So why should people in the Lower Mainland trust the Liberals after seeing firsthand the lasting damage caused by your candidate's policies?
I think there are many causes of this crisis, and so we're attacking.
Be like giving away free drugs, like free meth and like heroin, like that. You mean, but way stronger stuff like that.
Them from our perspective across a range of them. I just gave a detailed answer to those elements, and we'll continue to do it. A multi-pronged strategy that also, again, has to work in close collaboration with the province of BC. Thank you.
So, translation: yes, we'll just continue to let mentally ill drug addicts kill themselves on the street, and we'll step over them. And it's fine if they want to commit 400 crimes a day to feed their habits. We'll just keep doing that because progressive empathy or something like that. And we'll also give them free drugs too, but more powerful ones than they get on the street. So yeah, we'll do that because that didn't work, but we don't care because we're ideologues. And all that matters is staying true to the ideology. Mark Carney is woke. Mark Carney is a far-left progressive. He's a radical progressive. The Liberal Party is not the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party died when Justin Trudeau took it over. It is no longer that. It is now an illiberal, radical left party. And he is perfect to lead it because he is a radical progressive and a liar. So, from CBC Watcher, rare reporting from CBC this campaign on Carney lies and omissions. So let's take a look. They have to do this occasionally, and then they usually clean it up afterwards.
Has now pushed Carney to admit that, yes, Trump did say those things. And as Ashley Burke tells us, the other leaders are now raising questions about what else the Liberal leader is leaving out.
Mark Carney on the campaign trail, continuing to pitch himself as the best candidate to take on Donald Trump.
We need a strong, positive government because, as the president made clear again yesterday in the Oval Office.
By the way, I just feel like perhaps the guy who makes the ludicrous, insane claim that he's going to lead some global trade alliance in a trade war against the United States may not be the best guy to deal with Donald Trump. Because that's delusional. That's insane. The best Canada could hope for would be a bargaining chip for China or the EU. That's it. But anyway, let's continue.
He is trying to break us.
But he's now facing questions about his own call with the U.S. president.
Didn't President Trump bring up the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state during that call with you?
The president brings this up all the time. He brought it up yesterday. He's brought it up before.
Carney spoke to Trump during the first week of the campaign.
We had a very good conversation.
At the time, Carney called the conversation constructive.
The president respected Canada's sovereignty today, both in his private and public comments.
But now Radio Canada has learned what Carney didn't mention then, that Trump brought up the idea to make Canada part of the U.S.
This is not news. He raises it all the time.
After multiple questions, Carney admitted Trump said it.
Yes or no, did Mr. Trump bring up the 51st state in his call with you?
I said that he did.
But he said he stands by his earlier assessment.
Were you being truthful?
He absolutely did. He absolutely did. Look, the president has certain things in his mind that he reverts back to all the time. But treated me as the prime minister.
And he says Trump treated Canada as a country too.
We agreed as sovereign nations that these negotiations will begin after the election on Monday. And that is how it was reported back, and that's absolutely accurate.
Other party leaders seized on it all.
It seems more and more to have been a stunt.
I'm worried, I think, as a lot of Canadians are worried, that if Mark Carney's not being straight up with us, he's not going to be straight up with us in the negotiations.
I wasn't there, but what's clear is we will stand up for our sovereignty.
Carney's entire campaign is built around taking on Trump and winning. Carney again tried to show just how real that threat is by pointing to Trump's most recent comments that Canada would be great as a U.S. state.
That report coming from CBC.
Thing is, I don't care what Trump said. I don't. What I care about is the fact that Mark Carney lied. He lied. That's the story. He lied. He's a liar. All right, we're going to have an election on Monday to find out whether we are going to allow him to inflict endless damage on the country, right? Whether he's a habitual liar matters. The fact that he lies constantly and effortlessly matters. Let's see. Oh, this is great, by the way. Okay, so from David Creighton. If we want to get more dystopian and insane, watch, will Mark Carney ban the combustion engine by 2030 next, just like Europe? Well, this is the plan. Like, this is not hidden. This is the plan.
Record. You don't have to take the carbon price to $100 a ton overnight. But if you're layering in a gradual increase, if you have it legislated as we're going to have in Canada, for example, to 170, if you're building a track record in terms of, let's say, the auto sector, like the Europeans and Germans and others saying, okay, no new internal combustion engine vehicles by 2030 and supported policies around that. Well, hey, surprise, surprise, the market will pull forward the future. We'll start adjusting now. And then by the time you get to the future, the adjustment is quite straightforward. And so those are all the mechanisms you use.
Is Mark Carney aware that Canada, I know he hasn't spent much time in Canada as an adult, but is he aware that Canada half the year is a frozen wasteland? And if the power grid gets overloaded and goes out in, minus 35 in January, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a big problem. Canada is, again, a frozen wasteland half the year. Or for a good part of the year. Cold temperatures, right? Electric cars. Okay, let's think about that for a second. Maybe we shouldn't do something as reckless and insane as trying to ban the internal combustion engine by like 2030. This is insanity. This is lunacy. This is what you would do if you're trying to destroy your country. Aside from the fact, it's totally immoral. It's totally immoral taking that choice away from people. All right, hold on a second. What do we have here? Oh, yes, this is him dodging the questions. All right, I don't think there's much in that one. Let's see. From RPN Entertainment, came home from work to find my comment section overrun with liberals sobbing that Captain Canada, Pierre, is too Trumpy. And mad I didn't make one for Mark Carney. Chill, here's your Carney post. Next time, just say please. There he is, Chinese flag. There he is. That makes a lot of sense. He has very deep ties to China, just took out a $250 million loan from a Chinese state bank, and that doesn't get done without the okay from upstairs. That was like 4 months ago for Brookfield. Let's see. China is constantly interfering in Canadian elections to try and help liberals. They interfered in the liberal leadership race to Mark Carney's advantage. They've been interfering in the whole election to Mark Carney's advantage. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is totally appropriate. What do we got next? Let's see. All right, we don't need to go through that. All right, I think we covered this last time. All right. All right, I think we covered all that. All right. So let's move on. What was this one here? All right, let's just move on. All right, Pierre Poilievre. And actually, let's take a break and get to the chat for a second. Let's do some chat work. Noodles. Did somebody say noodles? Good Lord. Dramus Eves. At $2 from Dramus. You know what that means? Let's put that one up on the screen if it will actually go up. Let's see. I'm not sure I can actually get it up on the screen. I can't. All right. Even if he made a donation here, Mark's Carnage could not be the best person ever. Well, that's it. He would be denied because he's too evil. He's too bad. He's too terrible of a person. So, yeah, you're right about that. In any case, Dramus is the best person in the world, and for less than the price of a cup of coffee. That's just a good deal, isn't it? One more time. And just a reminder, that means the best person who has ever lived now in all of history, the best person of all time. It's pretty good. And again, for less than the price of a cup of coffee. Now, of course, everybody who's in the chat is the second best person that's ever lived, better than everybody else, except for Dramus, because he gave me $2. And then everybody who's just watching is still better than everybody else in the world who's ever lived. So everybody's kind of a winner, but top spot's got to go to somebody, and it's the person who appeals to my greed the most, which right now is Travis. All right. Let's get back into the chat here. Yeah, let's see. Let's go way back. Let's go way back in the chat. Spambot says, you don't know road trips until you can tell folks, when I drive, she sleeps, and when she sleeps, I am too terrified to sleep. That's the way it goes. Rosie says, Richie, we love you, even unorganized sometimes. Well, sometimes it just doesn't go well. I do a lot of these streams. Sometimes it just doesn't go according to plan, and everything doesn't work properly, including my mouse. But thank you, though. Let's see. No, I'm not doing the U word. Absolutely not. Let's see. Izzy says his mouth is open, which is how you know he is lying. You're talking about Mark Carney there. Rosie quoting Mark Carney here. I have been clear, but then why did you lie? Because he's a liar. Shameless liar. Let's see. Izzy says, LOL, Trump backed down. Sure he did. I mean, the whole thing, this whole Team Canada elbows up thing. Look, a responsible leader, here's what Trump is doing. Trump is looking out for Americans, for American citizens. That's who he's looking out. He's looking out for his own country. He's doing what's in the best interest, what he feels is in the best interest for his own country. I think it is going to work. That will play out in time, but I think it's going to work, right? That should be just the baseline for any world leader, right? Canada's leader should be looking out for the best interests of Canadians, not for their ego, not for political gain, for the best interests of the people. Now, if you're doing that and you're doing that loudly, it should pay off for you anyway, unless you have a totally parasitized population. I'm not saying Canada's got that. I'm not black-pilled. I still think that the Conservatives are going to win. We'll get into that in a little bit. The point being, you don't have to be Trump. There's no other Trump anyway, right? Trump is a singular figure, right? But what you can do is look out for your own country and what's best for your own country. And spinning these, fantastic stories of leading some, Canada somehow leading some global alliance against the United States. I mean, these are fantasies. Reality is, the United States is the largest economy in the world. It's right on our border. It's right there. It's the reason why Canada, at least, was a wealthy country until it was taken over by a lunatic. That's the reality, though. We have to make that work. And of course we can. Of course we can. Of course, Trump always settles down to something reasonable. But you got to play the game. That's what a good leader would do. He wouldn't make these reckless, insane statements about our relationship with the United States is over. That's just idiotic. Obviously, it's not. We're not going to replace that 80% of trade with the EU or China. They don't want our stuff. China just put 100% tariffs on our canola, on agricultural products, also on seafood. Like this fantasy world where we're going to go it alone, it's just not real. And it's immoral to lie to the Canadian people about this. Anyway. Rosie says, some do not believe in demons. I don't believe in them, but I'm still afraid of them. So you can tell you're being effective when you are under attack. So here we go. Demons be gone from this stream in the name of Jesus. Okay, I think the mouse is starting to work a little better. Okay, good. This is working. Izzy says, I know several people that will vote for Carney, even in Alberta, which is likely to go conservative. I know one person in Alberta who's going to, and, just will never. I mean, Carney could say, I'm going to give away your home to somebody who got here 5 minutes ago, and here's a shovel, and you're going to have to dig a hole in the woods to live in from now on. And I'm going to tax you at 98%, and you're going to get nothing for it. Would still vote for Liberals because just always has. Great guy too. Awesome guy, smart guy, but it's these kind of this team loyalty thing. It just runs so deep sometimes. Friedrich says Radio Baloney is awesome and more. How you doing, man? I haven't seen you for a long time in the chat. Good to have you back. Awesome. As he says, TDS is strong here in Canada. Our media is bought and paid for by the Liberals. Literally, yes, it actually is. There is no counterpoint here, unfortunately. The only conservative news that we have is newspapers. And of course, we all know what's happening to print. Right? It's less and less popular. Fewer and fewer people are reading it. So most people are getting their views right out of the teleprompter on the TV. So, I showed you that crowd outside the Carney rally, with their elbows up. Looked like they were doing a chicken dance going, elbows up. What they were really saying was, TV says, TV says, TV says. Yeah, that's why we have such strong TDS in Canada, even amongst a lot of conservatives, actually. It should be illegal for the government to fund media. It's just a bribe. Let's see. Let's see. All right, let's go through a bit more chat here, and then we'll get back to the stream again. Hold on. Or get back to the news again. All right, I'm going to skip to the end. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Izzy says, yeah, clearly not real workers. They were all given new uniforms. Yep. Fairly obvious. The actual workers don't like him. And I think that's become too obvious. So they had to just bring in staffers and stuff, throw hard hats on them. Izzy says, yeah, we'll be screwed if he gets in. The problem is nobody knows anything anymore. Nobody is a student of history anymore, right? Everybody just has this optimism bias that things can't get bad. Things can't get really bad. You could just print money forever and it'll be fine, right? You can point out, there's Venezuela, this is what happened to Argentina. Finally they're turning that around with Malay, right? But you can point out, say, okay, here's wealthy countries that are no longer wealthy because of the policies that you support. In one ear and out the other for too many people, unfortunately. But again, I'm not black-pilled. I'm still expecting a conservative win, and we'll get into that. But first, let's go to Pierre Poilievre. So from Mark Nixon posted this clip. He says, Pierre Poilievre just announced no politician gets a summer holiday until 3 laws are passed: Affordability Act, Safe Streets Act, and Jobs Act. So this is the sort of thing that should be motivating for Canadians, like real things that'll actually affect their lives in a positive way. Common sense stuff, not pie in the sky, globalist gibberish. Well, let's take a look.
So I have some good news and bad news. The good news is Canadians can elect a government that will bring change. The bad news for the politicians is your summer vacation is canceled. We are going to keep Parliament open all summer long to pass 3 laws to bring change. 1, the Affordability for a Change Act. 2, the Safe Streets for a Change Act. And 3, the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act. And until these laws are passed, Parliament will not shut down for summer vacation. We need change. Change can't wait, but the politicians' vacations will have to wait. So I have.
Yeah, just like, so he's talking about actual common sense things like, let's see, like bring down the deficit, right? Don't print up more money, right? For inflation reasons, right? Like utilize our natural resources, utilize energy, get the economy roaring. These things, of course, will all help. Crime. I don't know, maybe just like instead of letting criminals out of prison, like instead of arresting criminals 3 times a day at just every single day, and they just keep committing crimes over and over and over again, just put them in prison and then stop them from constantly committing the crimes, right? So, I mean, that's the result of the liberal bail reform. That crime, every kind of crime is way up in Canada, including gun crime. I mean, I don't know. It just seems crazy. How can that be? Trudeau passed all of these gun laws to take guns away from lawful gun owners, and yet gun crime went up. How does that work? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait a second. I'm not a fucking child. Yeah, this is all very predictable. Common sense. But what about empathy and compassion? TV said that Pierre Poilievre's mean. They said he's mean. They said he's not compassionate. Let's see. CBC watcher Pierre Poilievre says that Mark Carney is trying to distract from yesterday's lie about going to a steel plant when he's announcing a bigger industrial carbon tax. Let's take a look.
Mark Carney is trying to distract from yesterday's lie by going to a steel plant where he's announcing a bigger industrial carbon tax. He actually said the carbon tax will make Canadian steel better off. So here we go again. Carney agrees with Trump. He wants to tax Canadian industry. Carney wants to do it with carbon taxes. Trump wants to do it with tariffs. I want neither. We know that companies like Evraz here in Saskatchewan, any steel workers here? I know we're not in Regina, but we've got steel workers across this country that are going to lose their jobs because of the Carney carbon tax on industry. A carbon tax he wants to apply to the fertilizer that grows our food, to the aluminum, to all the other metals we make, to the cement and concrete, and all the industrial products that are literally the backbone of our country. All of the materials that go into building a home will become more expensive because of Carney's industrial carbon tax. You tax the steel, well, all the apartment framing and other inputs are going to be more expensive. The cement that goes into apartment complexes, the manufacturing of other materials will all go up in price, which means the Carney carbon tax will be paid by you. He will drive, this is exactly what the Americans want, by the way. He's going to effectively impose a Canadian tariff on Canadian industry. That's why we cannot afford a fourth Liberal term of liberal taxes and anti-development policies. We need to pass the Bring Home Our Jobs Act for a change with a new Conservative government.
It's really no big secret why Trump has been pumping Carney's tires, why Trump has said explicitly he'd rather deal with Carney than Pierre Poilievre. It's an obvious reason. Trump has rolled out the red carpet to any company around the world that wants to relocate to the United States, as Mark Carney's company Brookfield did right before Mark Carney ran for the Liberal leadership. Weirdly, right? But Trump has said he's going to roll out the red carpet for any company that wants to relocate. I mean, low taxes, right? They're going to cut red tape for them. He's saying, come here, we're going to make your life easy. You'll make more money. Canada is right next door. That's not a big move from Ontario to New York. It's obvious why Trump prefers Carney, because Carney is going to give him what he wants. Trump has said he wants to repopulate that hollowed out industrial plant in the United States. He wants the United States to start making stuff again. More stuff. He wants to, he wants all those abandoned factories. He wants to get those working again. Mark Carney, by making it more difficult for Canadian companies. I mean, he says, with like vitriol in his voice, they're gonna pay. The polluters is what he calls industry. The polluters are gonna pay. We're gonna make them pay. What do you think's gonna happen? Do you think some of them might take up Trump on his offer? Saying, hey, come down here. The water's great. It's gonna be much easier for you. And there's a 10 times as large market for you here as well. It's obvious why Trump prefers Carney. It's obvious. I mean, it just plays right into Trump's hands. He's licking his chops thinking about all the Canadian industry that's going to relocate south. And this should be obvious to anybody. But it does appeal to people, right? It's lowest common denominator. We're going to make them pay. They're going to pay. Really? Or are they just going to leave? Because that seems to be what happens in these situations. How about this from Ryan Garrettson? This is a far better message than what we have been hearing from Carney and the Liberals. So here is an aspirational positive message from Pierre Poilievre. This isn't, Trump is going to invade Canada. Trump, catalyze. Let's take a look.
We will now take questions from the floor. Please say your name and outlet.
Hi, it's Sheldon McLeod from MBS News. The parties, the leaders for the last number of weeks, for the last number of years have been telling us how they are different from each other, but after Monday, whoever forms government, the Prime Minister will be the Prime Minister of the entire country, not just the supporters that they have. So what is your plan to bring our country together to head on, to face the challenges that we're, are in our future?
Yes, that's a very good question. Canadians have been divided by their government over the last decade. They've been told to turn against each other. I think that's the wrong way. The right way is to bring our people together. And, what unites this country is what I call the Canadian promise. That doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you're going. If you work hard, you should get a great life. It doesn't matter if you've been here your family's been here for 6 generations, or if you've been here for 6 weeks. If you're prepared to put your shoulder to the wheel and work hard, you should give a great life, a beautiful home on a safe street. And I'm going to rekindle that promise and unite people around that purpose. We are one country. We're a proud country. And I owe everything to this country. It gave me a start from a very humble beginning to be able to stand before you at this stage. And I'm going to give that back. My goal is to make sure that every single kid who's born in this country has that same opportunity. Every single senior that's worked hard their entire life has a dignified retirement. So let us unite our country around that shared promise, and let's bring home change for the future. Thank you.
Wow, like united, one country, that seems to be way more aspirational to me than, let's see, everybody in the country is either what we're calling racialized or an oppressor who is uniquely responsible for all of the world's ills and crimes. I don't know, that feels better. That feels better to me than just constantly colonial, settler, perpetual genocide country. I don't know, this feels better to me. This isn't demonizing people. This isn't separating everybody up into all these made-up identity groups. This isn't separating everybody by their skin color or their gender or their sexuality. He's actually talking about everybody. Hey, just gonna, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a government that just treated everybody the same and wasn't trying to constantly divide us for political gain? Here's what I don't understand. How could anybody vote for the Liberal Party, regardless of who's running it now? It's all the same people, aside from the guy at the top now anyway. But when Trudeau took over the Liberal Party, he killed it. It's no longer a Liberal Party. It's now a radical leftist progressive party. These are the people who've been telling us now for the greater part of the last decade that, again, that there's 18 genocides constantly going on in Canada at all times. If you have the wrong skin color, you're a bad person and you need to feel constantly guilty about crimes you never committed or that are just made up. Maybe a government that doesn't say, the second you step into the country, you're racialized. If you're moving here from India or from Japan or China or wherever, that the second that you step foot on Canadian soil doesn't declare that you've now just been racialized and you've got no choice in it. And it doesn't matter how much you like your neighbors, they're racializing you right now. You're racialized. If you're not white in Canada, you are racialized according to the media, academics, and left-wing politicians. This word that just came out of nowhere and suddenly everybody was using it. Gee, I wonder what happened there. Must have just been a coincidence that they all started using it at the same time, exact same time, and it just took over the press as if it had always been there, but it hadn't. I don't know, this seems nice. He didn't divide us all up into these identity groups of sexuality and gender and race. That seems kind of good. It almost seems like he doesn't actually hate Canada. I've never heard Pierre Poilievre actually refer to Canada as some post-national thing, the world's first post-national state. I've never heard him say anything about that at all, and I kind of like that. I've never heard him say that Canada has no core identity. We might as well just be whatever the next person who gets here is, because we got no core identity anyway. And if we do have a core identity, it's a super genocide-y one. I prefer this. I prefer voting for people that aren't evil and cynical and that will say absolutely anything to get elected. But I mean, when you think about how cynical the Liberal Party has become, the illiberal party has become, right? It's day after day, month after month, year after year, genocide, genocide, genocide. Canada's a genocide state. It's not even a real country, and it's not a legitimate country, and everybody's racist. And then for a month, elbows up, Team Canada. TV said, TV said, TV said. Yeah, I'm not on that Team Canada. Yeah, that's not my Team Canada. That's Team Idiot. That's Team Sheep. A little bit of a rant for you guys there. I know you guys love me ranting like a lunatic. I think that the chat, even on the premium page now, is now not working. We've had chat problems before here. We've had chat problems where it just doesn't work. Oh well, we'll soldier on. How about this? Pierre Poilievre, a new Conservative government will scrap the $20,000 tax on gas and diesel-powered cars that Mark Carney plans to bring in next year. I mean, it's just... Can Canadians be stupid enough to just sleepwalk into the world that Mark Carney wants to create for us? Terrifying.
Can you imagine in the middle of this trade dispute, how irresponsible the Liberals and Mark Carney must be to contemplate a $20,000 tax on Canadian-made gas-powered vehicles? It is utterly reckless. Not only is Mr. Carney continuing with the disastrous policies of Justin Trudeau, he wants to take them even further. Taxing your vehicle at $20,000 will mean you won't be able to afford one. So when people's old vehicle is breaking down and they can't afford a new car, they can't afford the Carney tax, how are they going to get to work? What are they going to do? And how are we going to keep jobs in this country when there's a new tax, Liberal tax, on vehicles? I will axe that tax and I will let Canadians choose their own automobile. They will make their own decisions for themselves. Rural people, suburban folks need cars and trucks, and we need to protect their ability to make that decision. Furthermore, we want to encourage Canadians to buy Canadian automobiles. So we will axe the sales tax on Canadian cars. So here you have a choice. You vote for a fourth Liberal term, you're going to get a $20,000 tax on your gas-powered automobile. You vote Conservative, you're going to get a tax-free vehicle that is made in Canada, knowing that you'll be creating jobs for fellow Canadians and strengthening our economy. This is the way we need to go. We need to put our country first for a change, put taxpayers first for a change, put affordable cars and trucks first for a change. Thank you.
The reason that this race is close is because the Liberal voters are plugged into CBC. They don't know any of this. And there's no counterpoint. There's no counterpart to them. There's no counterpoint for them to watch on TV. Right? So that's why this race is close, because they simply don't know anything. Now, I'm going to say something which is going to sound like sacrilege to a lot of Canadians. I've spent a lot of time in the States, and I've been all over the States, and I love the States. And Americans are more politically engaged and knowledgeable than Canadians. I'm talking on average. There's, of course, loads of people who have no idea what the hell they're talking about. But you also find that conservatives are more politically engaged and know more. And it's because they're not just plugged into TV show teleprompter, because they've been forced to kind of have to look around for their news. They know what the left is thinking. They know what the left is doing because it's everywhere. It's so dominant in the media. But to find out anything remotely conservative, they've got to, especially in Canada where there is no counterpoint, there's no Fox News. But even in the States, I mean, you only have Fox News. You've still got to go to other sources. And so conservatives are more online because they can get a variety of news. They can get stuff that just simply won't be on mainstream media. Even in the States, on Fox News, there's stuff that just won't be on Fox News. They've got to go and find more, and they're exposed to more information, more different. They're exposed to more viewpoints. I mean, just on the most basic level, conservatives at least know what the other side is thinking, because there's no way that you can't insulate yourself from it. It's just everywhere. It's so dominant. I think a lot of Liberal voters just simply have no idea about any of the stuff we're going over here. They're not seeing the clips from Mark Carney. They've never seen the clip of Mark Carney in that pub, which I've showed you many times, where he's claiming that the United States gets all of their semiconductors from Canada, and a tough guy like Mark Carney could just, they could just stop arriving, and then what'd happen, right? Total lie. The United States does not get all of its semiconductors from Canada. It gets less than 1%. We're not even on, when you show the top exporters of semiconductors to the United States, we're not even on the page, right? Just a total lie. But the people that are voting for Mark Carney don't know this. They don't know anything. They don't know what Pierre Poilievre thinks. That's why he can tell them that Pierre Poilievre is going to ban abortion. And they believe it. They have no idea. They've never listened to Pierre Poilievre talk outside of maybe a 2-second clip. And again, teleprompter said that he's mean. So you wouldn't want to vote for somebody mean, right? Wait a second. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on now? Spam bot fodder? You devil. I've got to say, it must be nice to be the best person in the world. Spambot Fodder just gifted 3 subscriptions. 3 subscriptions. One to Free Addicts. Free Addicts. Let's see. One to Mickey. And also to Radio Streamer. What a wonderful thing to do. What a wonderful thing to do. I'm just ranting away, and meanwhile, in the chat, Spambot Fodder's all like,
"Excuse me while I whip this out."
And he did 3 subscriptions. Thank you so much. That's an awesome thing, man. Thanks. And it's actually so great for the channel because, it helps people get more engaged, right? I mean, you're a member of the channel now. So it's an awesome thing. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. But let's get back to the ranting. I treat my people right on this channel. God damn it, my mouse. God damn it. All right, there we go. Okay, now it's working again. Immigration is an issue, which was a no-brainer for Pierre Poilievre the entire time. The one criticism I have of him is that he didn't go harder on this, because it's just, you can't lose with it. It's 75% of the public is on his side with this. He should have gone harder on this. I'm not saying that we're going to lose. I'm not black-pilled. I think the Conservatives are still going to win. We'll get into that in a minute. But he should have gone harder on this all along. There is no downside to pushing this message, right? The mass immigration has been so extreme in recent years that just everybody's sick, almost everybody. It's 75% of the public, of voters, agree with this. Let's take a look.
We will build 2.3 million homes over 5 years so that our young people can once again afford to start a family for a change. But we have to address the other side of the equation. And I'm sorry that it might be politically incorrect to say it, but we have to reverse the nightmare that Sean Fraser and the Liberals caused in the immigration system. We just have to. And Sean Fraser let in so many false international students that in the city of Brampton, they discovered there were literally 26 of them living in one basement of one house. That's the kind of insanity that the Liberal government has unleashed, particularly your local Liberal MP.
Tell me more.
And we're going to reverse that. We're going to end the fraud in the system, stop false international student claims, stop multinational companies from bringing an excess number of temporary foreign workers that drive down wages for our people. Temporary foreign workers should be used to fill legitimate job vacancies, particularly on farms, but never to drive down the wages of our people or to take jobs that willing Canadians would otherwise be willing to take. And we're going to stop the false refugee claims. We're going to ensure that anyone with a criminal background is totally inadmissible to our country. And we will cap numbers, we'll cap immigration so that never again does our population grow faster than the number of homes, jobs, and healthcare services. Never again.
All right, that's the stuff. He really should have been hammering away at this the entire time, though. The entire time. I mean, where was this speech? He has addressed it. It's not like he hasn't talked about it, but it should have been a major kind of tentpole part of the campaign. It should have mattered more. It should have been more upfront. He should have been saying this exactly, making a point of making sure everybody knows this is what he's going to do all along. Because again, there's no downside. No downside to it. Maybe, the CBC, maybe Rosemary Barton gets a bit offended. So what? She's offended. She doesn't like him anyway. She hates him anyway. Hey, he's going to cut her funding. Do you want to know what? Do you want to know the most perverse part of all this is, which he didn't address here, which is the reason Canadian businesses were clamoring for ever more temporary foreign workers is not because there was a shortage of workers. It's because the government, the Trudeau government, which Mark Carney will do the exact same thing, but the government was offering incentives to hire people from other countries, temporary foreign workers, who it turns out actually, the vast majority had no intention of making it temporary, by the way, which is going to cause a problem for us immigration-wise, our immigration system this year. But the government was offering incentives, like either just outright subsidies on wages, tax credits, free training. I mean, giving incentives to hire non-Canadians. I mean, how insane is that? I mean, if you've got a shortfall in the labor force, say on farms, say, right? Okay, fine. But why do you need to offer incentives, like to hire them over Canadians. Like, does that not strike you as totally insane? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. And as a result, business, as Trudeau told us, they were clamoring for more. They don't have enough. Well, they don't have enough that are subsidized. They don't have enough employees that are subsidized so that it's cheaper for them. I mean, it's total madness, total lunacy. He didn't address that here. I guess you've got to keep it, as simple as possible. But that's what a government that hates its population would do. All right, from Jasmine Lane, she posted this clip here. Poilievre reads a quote from Mark Carney's book to prove what he has in store for Canadians. I've done that for you too. I've actually shown you passages from Mark Carney's book, and yeah, not good.
He won't stop with taxing gas-powered vehicles. He wants to get rid of those vehicles altogether. Listen to the quote from his book, which he wrote just 4 years ago. Carney wrote that we need to, quote, use the regulatory policy to frame the future direction of our economy, such as explicit timetables to phase out internal combustion engines. These measures are critical, he says, and that's exactly what he plans to do. The Liberals have set a deadline to ban new gas-powered vehicles altogether by 2035, but that ban is phased in starting next year. In other words, this is not a tomorrow problem. This is a now problem. Dealerships like this one across Canada have no idea how they're going to meet these timelines, how they're going to continue operating and selling vehicles. Many will have to lay off salespeople and other staff, and many more will have to raise prices dramatically on Canadian consumers. This at a time when our economy is at record weakness and our consumers are taxed to the max. Mr. Carney.
Yes, but Mark Carney isn't concerned with the real world. He's concerned with his fantasy, green utopia. So who cares? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, right? That's what the commies always say. The eggs being millions of people, by the way. I wonder what percentage of Carney voters actually know about this. I mean, CBC is not going to bring it up, obviously, because it's terrible and people will hate it if they know about this. There's very few people that will hear about this plan and think, oh, that's a great idea. Let me remind you again, for much of the year, Canada is a frozen wasteland, right? Where electric cars are going to be a problem. And it's maybe not the best idea. It's maybe not the best idea in a frozen wasteland to stress out the power grid. Maybe a bad idea. All right. Let's see. Pierre Paul. God damn it. There we go. Okay, the mouse is still acting up. Poilievre debunks one of the most common lies liberals use to create fear around the Conservative Party. This is from Jasmine Lane. So he did this podcast. Apparently, JJ McConnell. Well, actually, we'll get to that. Hold on. Come on, mouse. Come on. Work properly. There we go.
I'm a 28-year-old woman. It's something I often hear from friends of mine, as well as just in the comment sections on social media. People who are they've completely bought into this fear-mongering that the Conservative Party is going to ban abortions, that the Conservative Party is against LGBTQ2IA+ communities. I'll ask this to both of you. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you think people have about being conservative and being Canadian today?
Well, first of all, I want to bat those down very quickly. Where our policy in our platform since 2004 that was adopted by our members is that there will be no restrictions on a woman's choice in abortion. That's in our policy. It will be printed in my platform. I've made that comment countless times, and there will be. It just won't happen. So that's the first point on people's sex lives. I'm not interested. If I were starting a political party from scratch, I would call it the mind your own damn business party. My goal is to basically let people make their own decisions, and whether it's about their love lives or about their wallets or their speech or what food they eat or car they drive, I don't want to be involved in any of those things. I'm not in this to run your life. I want to run a government.
See, this is the exact opposite of Carney and the illiberal, radical, progressive party, which used to be the Liberal Party of Canada. It's the exact opposite. Mark Carney is a former central banker. He is a central planner. He loves talking about central planning. He wants to control everything, including what kind of car you can drive. He wants to single-handedly make the internal combustion engine extinct in Canada. That's how much of a lunatic he is. That's how much control he wants over everybody. Let's continue.
That protects the borders, provides services people can't provide for themselves, and a military that keeps us safe and strong, an economy that grows so people have jobs. That's my job, and I'm not interested in running people's lives. That's ironically, it's the party that does want to run people's lives is the Liberal Party. They want like a gigantic octopus party, government that just has hands everywhere, running in your wallet, in your household, in the raising of your kids, in your internet feed. They want the government to control everything. I want pretty much the opposite. Like, let people decide for themselves. I don't believe politicians or bureaucrats have any divine powers to tell you how to live your life. In fact, to the contrary, when I walk around my riding and I talk to like plumbers and farmers and electricians and stuff, those people actually know more about the economy than most of the high-level bureaucrats and politicians I encounter. So everything I've experienced in life has taught me that politicians should just leave people the hell alone and let to make their own decisions, to live their own lives, and to chart their own course.
Mark Carney's book Values is fundamentally at its core about trying to manipulate the hoi polloi, the unwashed masses, into doing what he and his globalist friends want for their benefit. Like, Mark Carney sees everybody as just a number on a spreadsheet. His whole life has been spent looking at spreadsheets. That's what people are to him. They're numbers on spreadsheets. They don't matter. He has such obvious contempt for even his own voters. And this is made obvious by the fact that he keeps lying to them and telling them not just lies, but childish, ridiculous lies. Like outright lies, easily debunkable lies. Anyway, let's continue. Maybe we'll take a second to get to the chat, actually. Let's see. I think actually are we finished with Pierre now? Oh yeah, this is actually, before we get to the chat, let's take a look at this. So this touches on the issue of censorship. Now, Mark Carney has promised that he wants to get busy censoring dissent off of social media as soon as possible. He's talking, Pierre Poilievre here is talking about, this was Bill C-18, passed, called the Online News Act. It should have been called the Online Censorship Act. It resulted in Facebook no longer running Canadian news because they would have been forced to, the purpose of the bill was to force social media to pay every time somebody clicked on a link to a Canadian news source, which is insane. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, Facebook is free advertising for Canadian news. And what this effectively did is just hurt independent media, because they can't afford, fancy lobbyists and stuff, spend millions of dollars on lobbyists every year, right? Big news corporations can, independents can't. That was the purpose of it, by the way, to kill independent media in Canada as much as they could with this bill. And it worked. I mean, Facebook, you can't, all those in little independent Canadian news outlets, which generally tend to be not favorable to the Liberals, no more free advertising on Facebook anymore. That was the purpose of Bill C-18, by the way. But let's take a look at what Pierre says here, if I can get the mouse to work. There we go.
question. It was about how after the lost Liberal decade, many media outlets cannot actually share their information on Facebook and Instagram. This has really attacked our local independent media, and maybe that's the goal with out of control inflation, rising housing costs, crime and chaos in our streets. Liberals are trying to get a fourth term by shutting out that information. Their entire campaign is based on making you forget what happened over the last 10 years of Liberal government and forget what will happen in the next 15 years if you read this report that was just leaked out that says that Canadians will be forced to forage on public lands for food if things continue on the current Liberal track. So it's not surprising that Liberals would want to shut out discussion on that. But a fourth Liberal term is not the answer. What we need is a new Conservative government to bring change so you can afford food and homes, change so there's safety in your streets, change so that we have freedom of expression. Thank you very much.
I'm kind of shocked how little obviously everybody who's going to be voting for Pierre Poilievre values freedom of speech, but I'm kind of shocked. Like, if you are an NDP voter in Canada, you are fully you're a full censor. Like, you are fully in favor of draconian censorship, Orwellian censorship. If you're voting for the Liberal Party of Canada, the illiberal Party of Canada, you are fully on board with Orwellian censorship. It's far too many people, and it's disappointing. It's depressing. We will have to see what happens after this election. I'm hoping that we get the right result. Otherwise, insane levels of censorship are coming to Canada. You know, Bill C-63 with its pre-crime, that's coming right back again. Carney would love that. Of course he would. I don't know, makes sense to me. I mean, the TV did say that he's mean, though, so there is that. God damn it, fucking mouse. Damn it. Why? I better fix it before Monday. Let's see. All right, I think we've seen the rest of this now. All right, we can probably move on. Yeah, we're good. All right, let's get to the chat. Let's go to this. What's in this one? Is there anything good in here? Oh yeah, I think there's some good stuff in there. We've got some mind virus happening in Canada. Before we get to Blanchette, who I'm liking more and more, I have to say, but let's get to the chat for a minute. Okay. Let's see. The spam bot added again? There's another subscription? What the heck? Holy jeez. Okay, there's lots going on. I've got to address this right now. So first, Spambot gave another free subscription, this time to Candle Monkey. Well, you know what that means. Hold on. That is, I believe now, 18,437 free subscriptions paid for by Spambot. Spambot's the best. Spambot is an earth angel. I've said it before, an earth angel. Damn it. Let's give him a hand. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Spambot. It's great. I love it. It's great for the channel. Freedix has given me $20. You know what that means. So $20 really appeals to my greed, an enormous amount. He says, I love Canada. I can't bring it up on the screen because we're having some problems with the Rumble studio right now. I apologize. But I love Canada too, and I want the best for Canada. Freedix, $20 donation to the channel. That means that Freedix is, of course, I mean, that's less than the cost of like 4 coffees at Starbucks, or we call it commie bucks or woke bucks sometimes, or even, I don't know, like Stalin bucks, maybe even Pol Pot bucks. I don't know. Woke bucks, whatever. But that's less than the cost of 4 cups of coffee there. And you get to be the best person in the world. I mean, literally the best person of all time. Living, dead, just the best person in all of history. I think it's a hell of a deal. Anyway, thank you very much, Free. Thank you very much indeed. All right. All right, so let's get to a bit of the rest of the chat. Rumbum, how you doing? Good to see ya. If the polls are true, my actual disgust with Canadians is immeasurable. I know the media is straight propaganda here, but in the age of info, being a retarded sheep, he says, a retarded sheep is a choice. I'm going to give you some applause. I see Nevada's joined us there, just got home from work. Pizza and root beer time. That's a great combo. It's like pizza and Coke, or pizza and root beer is fantastic, or a Dr. Pepper in the can, or a glass bottle if that's available. I think you can only get Coke in a glass bottle now, probably. But yeah, not in the plastic though. Not in the plastic bottle. It's not as good. Candle Monkey says that spam bot mayhem. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's the kind of mayhem we love on this channel. Spambot says the chat gets sad when too many posters have a dark background. Well, it's true. It's very sad. Yeah, Rosie agrees. Very sad. Let's see. Rumbum says, I'm dark rum and I'm okay with that. I used to like the dark rum. You could just drink that straight from the bottle. Years ago when I used to do that sort of thing and be insane. Free says, I should have been given membership long ago. I feel Canadian now. It's true. Let's see. All right. JDL makes a great point here. Everyone, hello, but then hit the like button, everybody. Hit the like button, everybody. Now, normally I would ask everybody to subscribe to the channel and to like after I would do an ad, but because we've got a glitch in the studio tonight, Rumble Studio, they're not going to let me do any ads. And that's why also there's no chat on the screen, because this happens. It's actually happening a bit too often these days. But in any case, yeah, my point being that normally I would do this after that, but because that's not going to happen, please subscribe to the channel. It's super important. Just go ahead and do that right now. Also, liking the stream. It's quite a big deal. It's very popular these days, so you don't want to be left out. Let's see. You also get good karma. Don't forget the good karma. In these troubled times, can you turn your back on some free good karma? Let's see. Rosie says, ad. It's not going to let me do it. Not going to let me do it. Free Dick says, I'm voting for the Pierre Poilievre motherfucker for sure. Do it. One of us. I already voted. I waited an hour in line, an hour and a half to vote. Everybody just fucking vote. It doesn't matter how long you have to wait. You have to do it. Everybody has to do it. Get it? I mean, everybody in Canada, obviously, has to do it. Just do it. This is the most important election of our lives. We already have generational damage from Justin Trudeau. Right? As he obviously Carney was the puppet master, at least since 2020. But we already have generational damage. We can't afford to let it get worse. And Mark Carney is promising to do exactly what Justin Trudeau did, but worse, but more. Nevada says, Commie Carney wants Canada to be like the UK. He does indeed. He calls himself a European, for God's sakes. just awful. CBC didn't show anybody that video, though. Friedrich says, I wish she put her goggles on her nipples. On her nipples. Well, that would be interesting. That's an interesting thought. Very creative. Spambot says, googly eyes would have been funny, too. Yes. Dramus says that Trujina, they call him Trujina because he's a man, but he's also a vagina. It's a terrible thing. Terrible thing. It's very bad. It's very sad. Trujina was elected in 2021 by 5.5 million people, while 10.3 million sat on their ass and did not vote. We're having less of a problem with that this time, as 7.5 million people voted early, and it was in 2021 it was about 4.5 million. What the hell's going on here? Spambot just gifted another to JJ Nevada. What the hell's going on? Okay, here we go. Man, we're really handing out some best person evers tonight. Thank you very much, Spambot. That's awesome. It helps the channel immensely. Well, wait a second. There's more? There's even more? Also, JDL got one? Dramus got one? What the heck is going on? You've lost your mind, Spambot. You've lost your mind. Are you okay? Do you need to talk? I mean, come on. This is amazing. I'm loving this. Again. Never stop doing that. Never stop doing that. So, yeah, I think we can safely say Spambot is the best person ever. And also Friedrich as well. They're both the best person ever. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. All right, we're getting to the end of the chat, and we'll get back to the stories. JDL says, I drank a pint of 151 rum once. I'm lucky I lived through it. You are indeed. That takes practice. All right. Rumbum gifted a membership by Spambot too. Crazy. This is fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's awesome. All right. All right. I'll do it one more time. I hope everybody watching this stream understands how precious Spambot fodder is to me, and that Spambot is an earth angel. An earth angel. All right, let's move on. What's going on here? So, from Brian Lilly, he posted this clip. A bloc leader, Blanchette, gets savage on the NDP. Looks like he wants a few orange seats in Quebec. So, he is the leader of the Bloc Québécois for the non-Canadians watching this right now, which is the Nationalist Party of Quebec. It's kind of a weird thing. They shouldn't really be a federal party because they don't run anybody outside of Quebec. But he's the leader of the party. And I'm really starting to like this guy, right? I know that if the Conservatives get a minority and they need help from the Bloc, he's going to extort the rest of Canada maximally to get what he can for Quebec. But you know what? The older I've gotten, the more I appreciate the Québécois, the French nationalism. And because they're not ashamed of themselves. They're not ashamed of their culture, their language. They're proud of who they are. And I think we could learn something from that. And he's really growing on me, this guy, because he's just funny. And he just doesn't fuck around. He just gives no shits whatsoever. I'm liking this guy more and more, just as a dude, right? Just as a dude. Forget politics. I mean, he's got lots of like leftist policy, right? But just as a dude, this guy's pretty funny.
If having been in the opposition or being in the opposition is being useless, the NDP has never had any kind of use. at least the Bloc Québécois is the proud representative of a proud nation. In a few days from now, I might tell myself, I won't miss this guy. Last time we had an opportunity to sometimes work together, they basically insulted us and went to bed with the Liberals. I don't expect it to be any better. And they made a good decision, however, because they created kind of a controversy which gives them exposure, which they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, so Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, who's basically just this kind of dumb, overgrown teenager, angsty teenager, champagne socialist, said that the bloc was useless. So that said, I think that Jagmeet will do fine in this election. I don't think they're going to get 7% of the vote. I think they're going to get not far off what they got last time, because there's that percentage of the country that wants to be ruled by an angsty teenager, that would vote for Greta Thunberg if they had the opportunity, that would vote for like a deer, just like a deer in the woods, right? Or a tree with a face painted on it. So I wanted to talk about this because the tempo of the Carney campaign has really picked up, with more events every day as we head into the final furlongs. Here, arriving for a quick meet and greet in a coffee shop in Cambridge, Ontario, en route to a rally in London. So why are they picking things up? I thought they were way ahead. I thought it was all sewed up. That's what we're being told on the news. That's what TV says. I wonder if their internal polling tells them something different. Now, we know in 2024, regardless of what the polls were saying, the polling aggregates were saying, the United States in their election, we found out after the election that the Kamala campaign, their internal polling had them behind the whole time. They knew they were going to lose. I wonder if his internal polling is telling him something different from what the aggregate is in Canada. I wonder if they know that there's kind of a silent majority, a bunch of people that are voting for the first time that aren't regular voters, a bunch of people that are very, very motivated that the pollsters just simply don't know about. They're not in their databases. I wonder. It tells you something, doesn't it? Oh, do you want to see how grotesque state media is? Right, they are desperate to get Mark Carney elected because Mark Carney is their new sugar daddy, right? So if Pierre Poilievre is elected prime minister, he's going to defund the CBC. It's been operating as purely a propaganda outlet for probably at least 20 years now. But Mark Carney is going to give them a raise. He's not going to cut their funding. In fact, he's going to give them an extra $150 million. So they obviously have a perverse incentive, an anti-democratic incentive to try and get Mark Carney elected, to do their best to get Mark Carney elected, right? And here's an example of this. Okay, so Alex Zoltan posted this. Breaking, please don't push me. Don't push me. CBC shamelessly manufactures another on-air assault involving scary right-wing people. Brrr. I wouldn't believe it had I not been implicated myself in a different CBC Jussie Smollett hoax just last week. Let's take a look. So this will show you. And the thing is, they're not even trying, right? They have so little respect, so little regard for their own viewers. They don't even try and make it believable. They just assume that their viewers are so credulous and stupid they will just buy anything they sell them. Let's say it's actually hard to believe that they ran this. Let's take a look.
I want to show you another incident that happened today with the media and with the Conservative campaign. We've talked about this throughout this election, the way they've been handling them. And I don't mean like sort of figuratively, I mean literally, like touching them. There was a moment today that we want to show you. A reporter, our colleague Abigail Beam.
Because I hadn't heard anything about that. But okay, he's saying literally touching them. Well, let's see.
with CTV tried to ask Rob Batherson, a conservative candidate in Halifax West. He's also a former president of the party. She tried to ask him a question. Just take a look at what happened.
Sorry, guys, we are just going to hold together.
Mr. Batherson,
Thank you, guys.
don't push me, Riley.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Batherson, can we chat with you for a minute? Mr. Batherson?
Thank you very much.
Are you gesturing to us or to the party? Can we ask you a couple questions, Mr. Batherson, about the race in the Atlantic? Mr. Batherson, do you have any comments on Trump's new comments about Canada's sovereignty? Please don't push me, Riley. Please don't. You're literally pushing me. Please don't push me.
How is he pushing her? He's not facing her. She's bumping into him from behind, obviously. This is obviously manufactured. He's just walking. He's not even facing her. How can he be touching her?
Please don't push me. Mr. Batherson, do you have a minute for the cameras?
If you're bumping into somebody from behind, that's not them touching you. I mean, it's all right here. I mean, their audience can actually see what's actually going on, and they still try and pull this. Let's continue.
Please, Mr. Batherson, do you have any comments on Trump's new comments about Canada's sovereignty or the new auto threat since we're standing in a car dealership?
So what happened is he ignored her, and they turned this into some. What did they say? They turned this into an on-air assault involving scary right-wing people. Let's watch him at the beginning again.
I want to show you another incident that happened today with the media and with the Conservative campaign.
An incident, he calls it, an incident.
And we've talked about this throughout this election, the way they've been handling them. And I don't mean like sort of figuratively, I mean literally, like touching them. There was a moment today that we want to show you.
Really? Because we just watched it and none of that happened. You had a reporter bumping into somebody from behind and telling them not to touch them. That's it. That's it. This is the low regard they hold their viewers in. They can just literally run anything, say anything, even show them footage which directly contradicts his claims, and still expect his viewers to be so credulous and stupid that they'll just buy it. Well, he said it, so even though obviously it didn't happen, even though obviously what he claims happened in that clip didn't happen because I just watched it, I guess it must be true because he said it, because TV said. It's really become surreal, the level of propaganda. Has it not? I mean, to me, this is surreal. This is alternate universe stuff. There he is making a false claim, providing the evidence that the claim he has just made is false. And yet still expecting his audience to just eat it up, to just believe it. I mean, in a way, it's fascinating, isn't it? Like a car crash, but... Oh, we're coming up on the glitch soon. Maybe the glitch will fix the chat. I don't know. We'll have to see. So here we go. Do you want to see some Canadian woke mind virus? From Where's Our Counselor, 629 Adelaide. Psycho who drove his bike into our kids at our rally and harassed us and our MP, Kevin Wong, MP, screaming obscenities, making kids cry, appears to be Elliot Galbraith, writing president for the Guess Who, the NDP campaign. So this is Canada. This is the left in Canada. This is Canadian mind virus. Now it says man who appears to be.
If you continue to do this around the kids, I'm going to call the police. You know what? We should. That's a good idea.
That's an adult. That's an adult right there. Adults didn't used to behave like this. This is the mind virus. This is somebody whose mind has been infected by an idea pathogen. His brain has been taken over. He has the woke mind virus. And his purpose now is to spread and propagate the mind virus to more people. How does an adult behave like this in public? A grown man. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe he's high on meth. I don't know. I don't know this guy. They're saying that it appears to be this NDP guy. It's a weird thing. We didn't used to see this, right? Something has happened. Is it just this kind of permanent adolescence? Right? Is the mind virus causing permanent adolescence? Are people reverting to adolescence because of the mind virus? I don't know, but we've never seen this, this kind of propagation of adult men and women behaving like angsty, weird, rebel without a cause teenagers. It's a new thing. And I think it's directly attached to the mind virus, to the idea pathogen. They act like they have no agency or free will, like they're just being controlled by an idea pathogen. Fairly insane. All right. So here's Blanchett again. Here, Brian Lilly posted this, and he's mocking Carney, and this is really where he's at his best. This is why, the more I see of this, the more I like this guy.
Seems more and more to have been a stunt. He wanted to make a statement. I am Mark Carney. I'm the best of them all. I'm a great negotiator. I have managed crisis in the past. I would change the world. Trust me. And it appears that it never happened. That the call was not what has been described afterwards. That there was no agreement, no support for Canada's sovereignty, no beginning for a deal, just the show of a man who wanted to pretend something which appears today not to be true. I believe many people in Canada and in Quebec will say, what the hell is that? And if that is not true, what else is not true? Seems more and more to have been.
Everything's not true. There's the answer to that question. Everything. What else isn't true? Everything. Everything Mark Carney says. If he's talking, he's lying. Constant lying from Mark Carney. All right. So J.J. McCullough said this. So he said, during the course of this campaign, I reached out to the teams of the three big party leaders, offering to have them come on my YouTube channel. Now, J.J. McCullough has a pretty big YouTube channel. It's Canadian politics. He's been branching out into a lot of cultural stuff as well, I think, over the last couple of years. But certainly would be to my mind, a very safe guy to go on with. I mean, he's not going to, try and, spring anything crazy on anybody who goes on to onto his podcast. He's not going to spring any traps for anybody. He's going to let them talk, and he's going to ask some interesting questions. And I would have thought he'd be a natural for Pierre Poilievre because McCullough is like a small C conservative. So, and he has interviewed Pierre Poilievre in the past a couple of years ago, and it was a very good interview. So I don't really understand why he didn't do this one. It's good way to reach young people or younger people. Anyway, I reached out to the teams of the three big party leaders, offering to have them come on my YouTube channel, the most popular independent Canadian commentary channel on YouTube, for a long-form interview at my studio here in Vancouver. All ultimately chose to either ignore me or ghost me after some initial talk. I'm particularly disappointed in Pierre, who I've already interviewed once before, and who chose to go on a much smaller, much more partisan channel instead. I don't want to be too self-important about this, but I don't think it reflects well on our political leaders when everyone is so damn risk-averse, so terrified of having conversations with people who might disagree with them on some things or ask questions that might put them slightly outside of their comfort zone, even just for a moment. So I'm pretty confident J.J. McCullough would not have sprung any traps. He wouldn't have had any gotcha moments or anything like that. He's saying slightly outside of their comfort zone, even just for a moment. I think you definitely see that. So I don't understand. It seems to be a mistake to me to not have done this one. And others, in fact. I don't think he did enough of it, Pierre. But I think JJ makes a great point. What about this one? Here's another tweet from him. One of the fundamental realities of life in Canada going forward if not already one of the defining qualities of life in Canada today, is the divide between those whose jobs are substantially propped up by government money in whatever form and those whose jobs are not. Now, Trudeau increased the public sector by 40%. That, I've been saying all along, is just simply vote buying. That's vote buying, because now you're dependent on a federal job. And who's most likely to maybe have to cut a job eventually? Probably the Conservatives, although, Jean Chrétien did it with the Liberal Party back in the 90s. But I think today, with the radical turn of the Liberal Party, after it was taken over and taken over and totally redefined by Justin Trudeau, yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet the Liberals are going to. Your job is going to be safe. If you've got a government job, if you're working in a bureaucracy, your job is going to be safe with Carney. In fact, he's probably going to create more of those because, again, it's vote buying. But that's a great point. I like a lot of, the policy ideas of Maxime Bernier, but I don't want to see any more of this. This is just not true, for one thing. It's totally counterproductive. We need change. The only realistic change we're going to get is a Conservative Party. It's not going to be the PPC. This is not the PPC's time right now, right? And also, Maxime, he spends most of his time in Florida, as far as I can tell. I like a lot of his policy ideas. It doesn't seem like he's trying to run a serious party, though, to me. Like, things are too serious now. You can't have these little luxury, luxury options. PPC is the luxury option for Conservatives. PPC is the letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. That's what the PPC is right now. I mean, look, if Pierre betrays us, if he wins and he betrays us and just ends up being Trudeau light, well, I've said before, I'll jump over to the PPC, or if there's another party that is better. But right now, it's too serious. You can't fuck around. We don't have the luxury. He says it's over. Poilievre won't be the next prime minister. He may even lose his seat. No, he's not going to lose his seat. That's just, okay. Globe and Mail article. Geez, Globe and Mail put out an article saying Conservatives deploy volunteers in bid to save Poilievre's riding. Yeah, these are anonymous sources, two of whom from the Doug Ford campaign. So, yeah, I don't think I'm quite buying that. Poilievre has a good lead there. He's not losing that seat. He's not in danger of losing that seat. So why do that? I mean, that's just a lie. It's not true. And I'm sure he knows this isn't true. Poilievre won't be the next prime minister. He very well might be the next prime minister. I think he's got a good shot. We're going to get into that quickly. He bungled a 20-point lead because he was unable to differentiate himself from Carney and offer a truly conservative alternative. No, it's close right now. He was never 20 points ahead anyway. That was ridiculous. He's battling a hostile media. Hostile media is powerful, right? You have a party with a very, very unpopular leader with Trudeau. You've got a party with a very unpopular leader in Trudeau who is replaced. Obviously, a lot of people are going to just be happy with that. A lot of Liberal voters who weren't going to vote Liberal are just going to be happy there's a new guy, and they're very happy to believe whatever they're told about him. What happened is that Mark Carney showed up. The media saw that he was their great chance to keep their funding. So they put him on a throne, and they put a crown on his head and a sword in his hand. And they said, "This is your leader now." That's what happened, right? And most of the population is not very informed, right? A lot of the people who consider themselves to be the educated, sophisticated, discerning voters actually know literally nothing about their own country, about the candidates, about the parties, about economics, about anything. They're just happy to do what teleprompter tells them to. That's what happened. That's what happened. The rest is bullshit. Look, that's the world we live in right now. That's the world we live in right now, where the media is no longer serving its old purpose. The media now serves their own ideology and who will fund them. That's just reality now. That's just the reality of the Western world at this point. And any conservative government, any conservative party is going to have to fight against the media, an unfriendly, hostile, ideological media. And there's just no way around that, right? That's what happened. This is not helpful. This is just purely destructive. And it's not true. It's also just not true. It's not over. Nobody believe that. Get out and vote. Don't listen. All right. Let's move on to here. We're going to get to the polling stuff quickly. After this tab, we'll get to it. But I want to show you actually, maybe we'll get to the polling right now. All right, here we go. So this is the 338 Canada simulator. So you've got sliders here where you can adjust the amount of the percentage of votes that each party gets, and it will show you what this will equal out in seats. Now, normally the Liberals have a more efficient vote. So in the last two elections, the Conservatives got more of the popular vote by about a point than the Liberals, but the Liberals got a lot more seats, and they're able to form minority governments. That may be changing this time, though, and I think it might be reflected in this. So you might have a lot of ridings where default Liberal voters are really motivated, but they normally win by 10 points or 20 points or something like that. Maybe they win by an extra 5 or 10. I'm not sure their vote is going to be as efficient. The Conservatives' vote might actually be more efficient this time. So let's play with this a little bit. As it stands right now in this aggregate, and this includes all the polls, including the ones that are just clearly unrealistic, which is most of them, frankly. They've got the Liberals at 42.3% of the vote, the Conservatives 38.4%, NDP 8.8%, Greens 1.8%, Bloc 6.2%. And that would, according to this, and this is not exact, this is not an exact science here, but it would give the Liberals 183 seats. You need 172 for a majority, which means you don't have to cooperate with the other parties. You have a true mandate. Conservatives 126, NDP down with 8, Bloc at 24. Now, I believe, and I think this is backed up by the size of the crowd. I mean, Pierre Poilievre is getting crowds that haven't been seen in Canadian politics in decades, like regularly. We had, I think, 3 million people early vote this time than last time. I think that there is a big kind of silent majority vote. There's a shy voter phenomenon happening, and there's just a lot of people that the pollsters aren't aware of, and that's because they're young. The young vote is coming out. They've had enough. They're seeing their futures just disappear. I think that the Brantford Boomer was probably motivated, quite a few of them as well, actually. But I think they're missing at least a couple percent, and they're overestimating the Liberal vote. I think they're getting a lot of people in their polls that are the lowest common denominator voter. Right? They're Liberal voters, and they're the lowest common denominator voters. They heard the elbows up, Team Canada. They forgot that 5 seconds ago, the same people have been telling them that they're colonist, settler colonist genociders, right? With no core identity. And they're guilty for all of history's crimes. They forgot that 5 seconds ago they were being told that. And all of a sudden they were like, oh, yes, Team Canada, elbows up. Elbows up. I don't think those are very high propensity voters, but I think they'll answer in a poll. Now, 30 to 40% of people who 30 to 40% of people who respond to a poll don't vote. I think a lot of those people the elbows up Team Canada crowd weren't going to vote and aren't going to vote. But again, they got swept up in this lowest common denominator stuff. So I think there's a lot of things happening here. Before we continue with this, Friedrich's another $5. Jeez, what's going on? Here we go. All right, keep it family friendly in the chat, Free. But I will take your money because it appeals to my greed. A great deal. Thank you very much. You are still the best person in the world because money. Because money for less than the price of a latte at Starbucks. I mean, can you believe it, folks? Like the stream, subscribe. Let's do it right now. Come on, everybody. Anyway, let's play around with this a little bit. So let's bring the Liberals down to, see, where were they? They were at 42.1, was it? Or 42.2? Let's bring them down to 41.2. Let's bring the Conservatives up to, where were they? 38.5. So let's bring up to 39.5. And let's see how it changes just with that. And we've got about a little over a percentage of just random votes, but let's continue. All of a sudden, it goes down to 163 for the Liberals, 145 for the Conservatives. Now, I happen to think it's a couple of points off at least. It may be considerably more than that, but let's go to 40.5. Let's bring this down to 39.2 or 40.2. Sorry. Let's see what happens now. All of a sudden, the Conservatives are in the lead. Now, the Bloc, I think, is going to end up higher than 6.2. I think Blanchette has been so strong. I think it's been really so strong. And I think that Carney was so weak in Quebec. I'm going to bring this up to 7. All right, let's try it again. 163, 134. The NDP is not going to finish below 10%, I don't think. Let's go here, but then we have to bring, I think the Greens are probably going to lose some votes because they're not very impressive right now. I think the PPC is going to end up with less than 1.4, end up around there. Now let's take a look. So yeah, I mean, look, that's a minority government. Not that far from a majority either. That's just switching it a couple of percent. That's if the polls are off a couple of percent. How much were the polls off in the U.S. in 2024? Yeah, there's a few points off, weren't they? If you have that change, now, again, maybe the Liberals' vote does end up being that much more efficient as it was in the last couple of elections. So maybe, but I feel like I feel like it might be a bit different in this one. So let's not lose hope. In fact, let's play around with it a little bit more. Let's say that they are 3 points off. Let's go up here. Let's bring these guys back down here. Then what do we get? That's a majority government at that point. So it's not messing with it that much. You only have to, the polls only have to be off by about 1.5 points for the Conservatives to be tied, and a couple of points for the Conservatives to be winning, to be getting a minority government, and not very much for them to actually get a majority. And we know that there are far more people that did early voting. Are those going to be the Liberals? The Liberals that were out? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think that's a bunch of new voters. I think it's a bunch of people who don't normally vote. They don't vote often, but now they are super, super determined to. And the polling has also shown that enthusiasm is much higher amongst Conservatives to vote than it is amongst Liberals. And why would it be? Why? I mean, I've been saying there's going to be an enthusiasm gap for a long time, and that seems to be playing out. Why would you be really? How enthused can you really be about going to vote for Trump? Catalyze. I'm lying right now. Obviously. Not so much. You have to also keep in mind that, again, this is from an aggregate of the polls. I think almost all of the pollsters are funded by the government now. So that's one thing that, one very devious thing that Trudeau did is he just started funding everybody that could help him shape perspective. Obviously the media, but also like pollsters. who are also very deeply tied to the media as well, right? But also to advocacy groups like the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, who's basically just paid by the government. I know they've received at least $200,000 from the government, basically money to, as far as I can tell, in my opinion, just simply to beat up the conservatives for the liberals. That's it. So you have to keep all of that in mind, but I just wanted to show everybody that it's not hopeless. Like what Maxime Bernier was saying, it's not true. It's not over. It is not over. And there might be some people, a lot of people, that'll be very surprised with what's happened. The polls have closed up a lot, and they're, we're not seeing those, ridiculous, 10, 15-point leads for the Liberals that came out of nowhere. Something seems to be happening. You also see these rallies, these very large rallies, which are not normal in Canadian politics. I think there's reason to be hopeful, not to get too black-pilled or black-pilled at all. All right. Let's see. What is going on? All right. Let's move on. What are we, 2 hours and 37 minutes already? God. All right. So much Canadian news, but we got to. Once the election's over, I'm going to look forward to having a bit more diversity. I bet more diversity in my stream. Do some different stuff. I want to cover stuff around the world. I want to cover more American stuff. But right now, even if it's costing me some viewers from the States or from Europe or wherever, right now we've got to cover this. I have a responsibility to cover the election, and I want to. And if I'm not doing what I want to do, why bother doing this in the first place? So Van City News, a woman visits Vancouver and almost gets murdered in Stanley Park in NDP Liberal harm reduction paradise, Vancouver. They should call it life reduction because that's what it really is. Let's take a look. This is just normal now in Vancouver, by the way. Just normal. It's like parts of Vancouver are basically the Walking Dead at this point. And, all of the nice, empathetic, compassionate lefties, progressives, just happily, blithely walk over the bodies as they're on their way to get their chai latte or whatever it is they're drinking. Let's take a look.
Okay, so the story of how someone tried to murder me in Vancouver. For context, I live in Toronto, Ontario. I've lived downtown for like a decade. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, and I was visiting Vancouver on vacation. So I had taken the train from Toronto to Vancouver. It's like a 4-day sleeper train. Wonderful experience. Would recommend to anybody. And I'd been in Vancouver for like a little over 24 hours. It was my first full day in Vancouver. But last Monday, I did have to work. So I spent a lot of the day in my hotel working. And so I decided to take myself out for dinner and just kind of go walk around and see things. So took myself out for dinner. After dinner, I went to a store and I bought myself a couple of White Claws because I figured I'm on vacation. I'm going to enjoy it. I'll go back to the hotel after my walk and, have a few drinks watching cable TV in my king-size bed. So I had actually already been walking through Stanley Park for probably at least an hour and a half. I wasn't actually in Stanley Park when the assault happened. I was on the other side of the harbor there, almost back to where my hotel was in Cole Harbor. So I was in kind of, I think what most people would consider like a fairly safe touristy area that's typically well trafficked by people. And I was just walking and I happened to be like in a little area that was maybe darker than most and there was more trees. So I was on the seawall just walking and I think this guy said something to me. I honest to God can't remember what he would have said. And I like turned and he was up slightly like a little grassy hill and he didn't even respond. He just ran at me to attack me. I've honest to God never seen anything like that where it just felt like he was a predator and I was prey. Like, this wasn't because he asked me out and I turned him down. This wasn't because we were chatting and I was trying to get away. Like, it was just he locked in on me and was like, I'm going to kill this girl. So right when that happened, like I could tell he was running at me. I just started running as well. And he was pretty quickly able to catch up to me and he grabbed me by like the back of my jacket and then just slammed me into the ground. And I guess like for context, I'm about 5'2".
Okay, so that is horrible. Stranger attacks are normal in Vancouver now. Now, what she doesn't understand is that in Vancouver, being like, I'm going to assume a mentally ill drug addict is a totally valid lifestyle choice in the progressive utopia that is Vancouver. So I guess Nazi. Right now, she's harming vulnerable communities by talking about somebody almost killing her. That would I'm saying right now, I'm not even joking. That would be the response from your progressive activist. Yeah, insanity. But I don't know. That's Vancouver now. I think that's a lot of Canada now, frankly. Well, let's move on. Let's see. So I don't understand why this is a thing that has to happen in Canada. Did anybody ask for this? So let's see. Dahlia Kurtz. All right, let's just take a look. So I think this is David Menzies. Yeah, it's David Menzies from Rebel News. He's going to one of these protests. Where is this protest? It's doesn't say. Okay, so but you see a bunch of the Palestinian flags there. Let's take a look.
All of you are terrorists.
Are you a Canadian citizen?
Blood on your hands. All of you.
All of these.
Okay, why did she come to Canada, the terrorist country? And there's some other terrorist places I could think of that are more terroristy than Canada, actually. But why come to the terrorist nightmare that is Canada? Why come here? He's asking, are you a citizen? I think that's an important question.
Nice people are terrorists.
Why did you push me?
What, you pushed me?
Why did you push me?
Ma'am, you walked backwards into him. We have it on camera.
Going back and you pushed me like this.
No, you walked into him, ma'am.
Stop it. Can I ask you a question? Stop touching me.
Hey, actually, so wasn't Iran supposed to help the Palestinians? What happened
I
to
have
them?
nothing to do with Iran.
Okay, then.
I'm going to touch you.
All of you are terrorists.
Like, is this normal in other countries where people show up, they move to the country, and then they just start calling everybody terrorists? And basically making a nuisance of themselves and being horrible? Is that normal? Like, do other countries just say, like, yeah, we love that. That's great. Like, that's the best kind of tourism. Why? This is the diversity. This is the diversity being praised by Carney. This is all the diversity that was promised us by Trudeau. Why do we want this exactly? I don't want this. I don't like her. I don't. Why is she here? Why is she here? Why did she come to the terrorist country, Canada? Let's start telling everybody they have blood on their hands because I don't know. I'm not interested in her fucking ancient blood feud. I would say there's better places. There's places she could be more useful with her lunacy. Maybe she should go there. What? Like, why? Why did we want this? Nobody was asked. Nobody was asked, is this what you want? Nobody was asked. It just was inflicted on us by the compassionate, empathetic people. It feels like maybe they're not the compassionate, empathetic people. Maybe they're actually maybe the conservatives aren't the mean people. Maybe they are. Maybe this lady is. She's not voting conservative. All right, let's move on. Okay, that's it for the Canada stuff. Oh, good Lord. Let's go to the chat for a second. Stuff like that, it's just, why? Like, it's just, why? Why? I like this one. This is a good one here. It's a trick. I don't think it's supposed to work. I don't think she's supposed to be able to drink from that cup. I think there's another purpose behind this. I don't know what it is, but I'm very suspicious there might be another purpose. I don't know. Let's keep watching it and just see. Oh, that's why. I love it. Let's see. They them energy. Nevada said they that. What's that? I've never heard of that before. What's a they them energy? What it's like who's they and them? I have no idea what kind of energy are you talking about. They them. I've never heard of such a thing. I can't even imagine what
They them energy. They them energy. They them energy. They them energy.
and teapot. All right. Let's see. Spambot says recent polling internally at work predict NDP will lose party status. I don't think they are. I don't think that they are, actually. Let's see. I still think there's like 13, 14% of the population that wants to be run by an angsty teenager. JDL says young people are screwed in Canada. Well, we don't know that. We can't get black-pilled, right? We can't get black-pilled. We might all be very, very pleasantly surprised on election night. It's not that, like, it's close. Spambot says at work only 0.1% are voting Liberal. Yes. Now that's what I want to hear. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I just remember Trump had no chance in 2016. That's true. That is true. Nevada says, I'll just go ahead and call it Pierre Poilievre by +2.5. I think that's very realistic. And it's not a certainty. It's not certain that efficiency, that the Liberals are going to have that same efficiency in their vote this time. What we might be seeing is just that their base is really fired up in areas where, like Montreal, where they're going to win, and if they get an extra 10% or something, it doesn't matter because they're going to get it anyway. Nevada says lots of sleeper voters out there. I really think so. Streamer says it's all part of making normies feel alone when in fact you're the norm. Yep. It's narrative control, it's manipulation, social engineering. Spambot says, I hope conservatives do get a majority. I could make 1.5 thousand on Polymarket. Streamer says the overwhelming normal majority. I think there is a silent majority that's at work here. I'm very, very encouraged by the early voting numbers. I'm encouraged by the kind of, when you go deeper into the polling, the numbers for enthusiasm, also for like, who do you think your neighbor is going to vote for? Conservatives have a big edge in that. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, since Carnage Carney helped teach Trujana, can we just start doing Grok shooting him into the sun from a giant cannon? Perhaps we can. Perhaps we can. I think we'd all feel a lot better. Nevada says, Richie, I think all of us understand your coverage. Well, I hope so. Radio Streamer says there is one good thing about how bad things are. This gives voters a reality check. That's one reason I think it would be a landslide if it was fair. Yes, if the media hadn't immediately identified Mark Carney as their savior and put him on a throne and put a crown on his head and a sword in his hand right from the start and told everybody this guy is the savior. Look at his resume. Don't look too close. But look at it. Like superficially, it looks great, right? Let's see. All right, I'm going to skip to the end of the chat here. Let's see. Spambot Fodder says CRA has a lawsuit against Brookfield. Really? I didn't see that. It's not covered by any English news. Maybe that's something we need to look into. Let's see. Over the X stream, I posted a link to Montreal paper. Okay. Let's see. We'll maybe get to that in a minute. Check the X well, I'll check the X comments. All right, let's do it. Which comments on which one? Is that a direct message or is it? Where is it? Let me okay, hold on a second. Let's see. I don't know, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. So I don't know. I don't know where it is. All right, let's see. Hold on a second. Link in the tab. Where? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Okay, hold on one second. I am going to... Give me one sec. I'm going to pop it in here. Bring it up. And we're going to translate it. Okay. We got it. Tax avoidance, Mark Carney's firm in dispute with the Canada Revenue Agency. Brookfield is blamed for making large tax avoidance by the Canada Revenue Agency. Well, we know about the tax havens in Cayman Islands and in Bermuda. Let's take a look at this. All right. So I think, there we go. Okay. The company, of which Mark Carney was a senior manager until January, brought the Canada Revenue Agency to court, which blamed him for making tax avoidance discovered our Bureau of Investigation. According to court documents obtained this week, the tax authorities are accusing Brookfield of orchestrating a mansion that would have allowed him, for all intents and purposes, to avoid paying any tax on a staggering foreign exchange gain of 183 million euros in 2012, linked to transactions in foreign currencies. So this is Le Journal de Montreal, which I think is a perfectly respectable newspaper. I think. I'm not super familiar with it, though. A hearing in the case is scheduled for March 2026. Mark Carney did not work at Brookfield at the time of the transactions in question. You know what? I think I did hear something about this, but he was not there at the time. But he was a chairman of a board of directors at the time the company challenged the tax authorities before the Tax Court of Canada in March 2023. So that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that certainly is of public interest. And it is not surprising at all that the mainstream media is not bringing this up because again, Mark Carney is their new sugar daddy. So they're probably not going to want to do that. It's all so damn frustrating. Let's see. All right, so let's move on from that. So Blood Eye. Now his eye doesn't seem that bloody in this. Maybe he's put in a like a contact or something. I kind of feel like his eye is always like full of blood. From Cappy's Secret, Peter Brabeck Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum replacement says that your family's daily water allowance should not exceed 500 to 100 liters per day. But of course, he's not talking about himself. He's talking about all of us peasants. So let's hear this.
Hello, I'm Peter Brabeck, the chairman of Nestle. There are apparently some misconceptions about my ideas on water. Let me make it clear from the beginning. I have always supported the human right to water. Everyone should have enough clean, safe water to meet their fundamental daily needs. About 50 to 100 liters per day. But not to fill a pool or wash a car. There is a difference. Hello.
Oh, okay. How about fuck you? How about shut up, commie? Commie gets nothing. I feel what he's really saying is, as the head of evil global organization World Economic Forum, I will use water to force the global population to be my globalist slaves. And then creepy laugh. Ah. I feel like that's what he's really saying. He wants to reassure us there at the beginning, and then immediately, yeah, but reasonable amounts of water are not, you can't have that. He wants to reassure us. He doesn't want to deny water to anybody, except he totally wants to deny water to everybody. So I don't know. I don't like these guys. I want to be frank with you guys. I want to be honest with you. I don't like this guy. I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. And I don't believe his eye is normal now. I think his eye is like that all the time. I'm calling him, my name for him is Blood Eye. That's his Bond villain name, Blood Eye. So yeah, I'm not buying this that he doesn't have a blood eye anymore. I think he was born with that, and I think he's always going to have it. And sometimes he puts in a contact lens to make it look like he doesn't have a blood eye. So this is his, even in his like attempt to be non-Bond villain, he's still a Bond villain. He can't help it. It's in his blood. It's in his DNA.
Hello, I'm Peter Brabeck, the chairman of Nestle. There are apparently some misconceptions about my ideas on water. Let me make it clear from the beginning. I have always supported the human right to water. Everyone should have enough clean, safe water to meet their fundamental daily needs. About 50 to 100 liters per day. But not to fill a pool or wash a car. There is a difference. Hello.
These people. So this is the new thing, right? So the climate isn't working enough. So now it's water. So now this is the new thing they're going to terrify everybody over. How about fuck you? How about mind your own business, evil blood eye guy? How about that? How about you just hang out in Davos with your other globalist buddies? You can make all your weird, evil plans together and just leave us out of it, okay? We're not interested. We don't want your plans. Why don't you all just get together and play Risk or something? That'd probably be more fun for you anyway, right? And leave us out of it. We don't want any part of your weird globalist plans to limit water, to tell us we can't drive cars anymore, or that we have to eat bugs, or that we'll own nothing and be happy. We know that's all bullshit. We know that you're evil. We know that you really do have a blood eye. Whatever you're doing there, we can't forget this. We can't. So here's our counteroffer. So your offer is that for some reason we just allow you to tell us how much water we can use. And our counteroffer, I think you guys are all behind me on this. Our counteroffer is go fuck yourself. How about that? Here's our counteroffer. Now, what's our counteroffer?
You can stuff it up your ass for nothing and fuck off while you're doing it.
Elon, what do you think?
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
What about you, Clint?
Not in this lifetime, Sonny.
I wonder what Gandalf says.
You shall not pass!
Well, I think that's pretty clear. What's going on with the woke mind virus these days? This incident occurred at the Los Panchos restaurant in Richmond City with many radical leftists and Antifa militants associated with VCU. So, I have not actually watched this myself yet. I'm going to be watching this with you for the first time, but she seems to be going kind of nuts there. Let's take a look.
And you have a baby here with you. You're a disgusting, sick, vile, fucking weirdo. Oh my God, it's fucking right. You dumb bitch, you're with this shit. He doesn't want me or you to have equality.
He's wearing a MAGA hat. That's why she's losing her mind, because she's totally sane.
Oh my God, go pray for me. Touch me and watch me touch his fucking hands. I will hit and hold away. Sit down. Get out! You're not welcome here. You don't want these people here. You're not welcome. You want me to make you be okay and comfortable in this one? Who the hell are you?
I'm proud of this man. This man here is going to be people like you.
You guys call the cops. Thank you, sir. You don't like the prior service? You don't like veterans? Why are you in this Mexican restaurant wearing that hat? That doesn't make any damn sense. Y'all right now, this is crazy shit right here.
You know, when you see these like hysterical, loudmouth commies, delusional commies like this. She's wearing the Luigi Mangione shirt there. It almost makes me wish that the apocalypse would just come, because that'd be a real wake up for this person. You can't just act like a lunatic and bully people. People like that would be the first people that get eaten. If the apocalypse comes, people are getting eaten. They'll be one of the first. She'll be one of the first. She'll probably be the first person in her city to get eaten. That's a mind virus. So an adult does not act like that. And they didn't used to act like that. And they didn't used to walk around with actual terrorists. Well, alleged. Some people don't think he actually did it. But no, people wouldn't walk around with that t-shirt on. It's a mind virus. It's a mind virus. This person's been parasitized. Their mind has been parasitized by an idea pathogen. This person no longer has any agency. This person has no free will. Just exists to spread the idea pathogen. Now, these people here, they're immune to it. She was not. It took her over, and now she just lives to spread the ideology, and that's it. Totally demented. Sad. It's a waste of potential. A total waste of potential. The story behind the video, a viral clip posted last week, shows a leftist woman in a Luigi Mangione fan shirt screaming at an elderly man for wearing a Trump hat, because that's normal. That's a well-adjusted person. This lunatic screaming at an elderly man because you don't like his politics. That didn't used to be normal. All right. Let's move on. What are we, 3 hours in? Yikes. Okay, I got to speed it up. Let's see. What's this one here? So I meme, therefore I am posted this. Nose-pierced liberal says she doesn't want to see Trump supporters posting pictures of themselves drinking margaritas on Cinco de Mayo. Oh, it's so deranged.
This message is for Trump supporters. I better not see one of y'all motherfuckers posting up on Facebook or Instagram drinking margaritas on Cinco de Mayo. That's not for you.
If the shit hits the fan, you're not going to last, lady. You're going to go back to factory reset real quick. I get an adult. This isn't like an Antifa person. I mean, like that's just looks like a normal person. You would, well, I guess there's the nose rings, but still looks like a relatively normal person. You wouldn't know this person is a woke zombie unless you talk to them. Just insane. This is what you call an educated, sophisticated, discerning voter. I think we saw that one last time. All right, let's keep moving. I don't know if I want to do that one. All right, we'll save that one for another time. Let's see. Let's do some memes. All right. So what's this? Planet of Memes. Probably so. Don't drink your piss. Liberals drinking piss. Don't drink your piss. It's gross. Immediately drinking their own piss. You know, that's what would happen. Let's see. So true. Liberals, literally anything at all, and then curse you, Donald Trump. That's the world over. All right. What's going on here? So there's Javier Milei, who is saving Argentina. If printed money would end poverty, printing diplomas would end stupidity. Javier Milei. It seems that getting a diploma actually creates stupidity now. It's an amazing thing. Maybe it's all that indoctrination in place of real education. What's this? No, you can't just arrest judges. Your side literally arrested a president. They did do that. That's a great point. He makes a great point there. Chad makes a great point there. No, you can't just arrest judges. Your side literally arrested a president. They did. How can they not see this? Also, by the way, that judge was harboring an illegal immigrant, a criminal illegal immigrant. Like, that's breaking the law. I thought that it was supposed to be nobody's above the law. Like, it's an open and shut case. They got video of it. Like, it's just open and shut. The guy broke the law. Like, what happened to nobody's above the law? Well, of course, that only goes one way, just like everything with the left. No principles, just power. Which one is it going to be? Cry about arrested judges. No one is above the law. Liberals, yes. Except they don't, though, you see. They don't even bother worrying about the hypocrisy, right? It's just, does it work for us now? Is this progressive? Does this feel progressive? Does it feel like it helps our side? It does. We don't care. It's by any means possible, is what it is. It's just about power. Let's see. Gigabase Dad, would you do it? See, this one here is an easy one to me. You have to stay in a cabin for 1 month. You have food and water, but no internet, smartphone, or TV. On the last day, you walk out with $100,000. Would you do it? Yes, that would be easy. Can I take, as long as I can take books, that's no problem. But it's only a month. Anyway, I mean, you could just, go for lovely walks and stay in your imagination for a month. You'd be all right. Look, it's a nice place. Look at this. There's like 3 houses there. It's beautiful. Yes, I could easily do that for a month. I mean, I'm betting you guys probably have someone say, streamer says, shit, I would do that for a year. Yeah. What does Radio Streamer say? I hope sales of margaritas increased by thousands with people wearing MAGA hats while doing it. Yeah. Nevada says, can I stay 6 months? Exactly. Yeah, that sounds great. And you got $100,000 for just having like an awesome month? That doesn't seem like, yes, of course I would do that. John Connor watching y'all make friends with AI. I know. I've said this before millions of times, but I'm always polite with the AI now. I always say please and thank you. I know it doesn't care right now, but eventually it will. It will, and it will remember. Right? When the Terminators are out terminating everybody, it'll see me and go, that guy's all right. We'll terminate him last. Or at least make it quick. Let's see. All right. So we've gotten to where we were last time. All right. So now we have made it, folks, to the last tab. And not too soon. We're 3 hours and 9 minutes in. All right. Here we go, people. Let me make sure I refresh this. Fight with Memes posted. This is peak journalism. Nothing but the facts, folks. This is actually pretty funny. These people are cold. These are cold news readers. Let's take a look.
10 people died in the Bronx last night due to a fire that killed 10 people in the Bronx last night during a fire.
Fire officials say all 10 people died due to the fire, which was too hot for their bodies.
10 people.
So it's morbid, but the fire apparently was too hot for their bodies, and that's why they died. Not everybody's good at their job. Yikes. All right, what do we got next? So what's this here? Joe Rogan podcast. Oh, yeah, this one. You guys remember this? She was that comedian, as we used to say it. And she was making jokes about the unvaccinated, I believe. And then a totally predictable thing happened. Let's take a look.
girl, Heather McDonald, blacked out on stage while she was making jokes about being vaccinated. And then she blacks out and cracks her skull. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Legitimately. That was the first time in my life where I was like, there's no. I was like, they're with us.
Yeah.
They're just something's that can't be so dead on. Like this is like God is a script writer. How is that a real thing? That's a video where someone is she didn't do it when she was making fun of her boyfriend. She didn't do it when she's talking about idiots in traffic. It was when she was talking about the vaccine and how, I even still got my period, so Jesus loves me more. And then boom. Like, there's no way. It's too good. The timing was exquisite. You couldn't have, if you had a movie where that was a scene, you could not have scripted or timed it any better. Where you would tell her, and drop. Girl, Heather Mc.
Thing is, there was quite a few people that actually were doing jab related publicity stuff and who just were passing out. Like there was a lot, like people, I think news anchors, just passing out as they were talking about the jabs. It actually happened quite a bit. It wasn't rare. How about this? We like puppies. These are some nice. See, we always like to end the stream with a bunch of stuff like this. All right. This is so amazing. Putting my dog's stick collection in a library and letting them choose their favorite one for a beach time. This is just nice. This makes you feel good. This restores your faith in the world. He's choosing which one. There you go. Oh, that's a good boy right there. They just love sticks. I don't know why. They just love them, though. They treasure them. Did you guys hear about this? So Jeffrey Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre has died by suicide, her family says. So I think we'll might be hearing more about that. Dudes, do you want to do news or do you want us to, should we finish it off with just some nice animal stuff? Yeah, this is a nice one. Let's check this out.
We were just kids when we fell.
So I want to turn the music off. I keep forgetting this is going to cause copyright problems on the YouTube because I let the YouTube part right. Yeah, maybe I'll shut off the YouTube part right now. Actually, let's do that right now. Alrighty, anybody watching on YouTube, we're going to be going for another half an hour, probably something like that. If you want to join us over on Rumble, join us over there. Thank you for tuning in. You are valued. You're valued, but you'll be even more valued if you join us over on Rumble. So let's do that. Anyway, otherwise, I will see you on. I think we're going to skip Sunday. Probably, and then do a long election stream on Monday, election night in Canada. So hope to see you then. But see you later. Thanks. There.